Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Someone to Follow by SapphireRoselle. Sky is an experiment. She has the virus VP010 running through her veins. In other words, she is a vampire. Hated by her family and in her world in general, she stays with her captors until she is transported to another world. Here she is found by a young man, one who can accept her and travel the world to become king of the pirates. Big shout out to the warlords of this channel: Craig Twitchell, Throat Punch, Roderius Jones, Native Warrior, Claude Lifrace, Neo Wesker 23, Derek Dowdy, Zazu Sayaz, Abdul Rauf Ali, N3WT, What_if_Lord, Black Money _Young Leon, Garrick Russell, Case Clark, KSGPL4YZ, and Brian McKenzie. You know who you are. Want to stand among legends? Join the channel membership and show your support. Adios. P.
Here, I hand Luffy back his shirt. I fortified the heart area, both on your back and front, and around the neck, with my metal alloy thread. It's not perfect, but it'll stop bullets, knife attacks, and maybe a weaker sword. You may not care about dying, but I'd like to keep my captain alive. Dumo. He takes the shirt and puts it back on. Later we need to find ways to make your clothes element-proof. Akuma no Mi are going to get more common as we go into the Grand Line and the New World. Actually, I should try do that for all of the crew. Luffy nods. Hi. I would like everyone to learn Soru and Kamii, Sanji, Geppo and Rankyaku, Usopp, Shigen. It'll be a good combo with his slingshot or if he ever runs out of ammo. Zoro. Maybe Tekai, Nami, Geppo and maybe Rankyaku. Sounds good. They all can learn the other forms if they want to, but these are good ones for their specific skills. The ship is going to be a busy place. I'll see if there is any info on the marine ship later, so we can be prepared for Logatown. Luffy's eyes began to sparkle. I can barely wait till we get there, to see the town pirate King Roger was born and where he died. I'm so looking for the execution platform. I chuckle, I go with you. But, I trail off as I hear a gunshot. Did you hear that? Nope. Something wrong? Luffy looks at me concerned. I believe someone got shot or was shot at. Nobody died though. That's good. We both look up as Nami and that guy who was with the Marines came running with Najiko in the man's arms. Both of us tensed as we felt the rage building up in Nami. She suddenly sprinted off in the direction of Arlong Park. She's going to find out the truth now. Luffy looks at me as he speaks. I turn my head and look to where Nami disappeared. But she'll still be in his control. She loves this village. Arlong will hold that over her till the day she dies. The villagers though. I think this is the last straw for them. They seem to love her very much. Hi. They'll die, but they'll die fighting for their freedom, Luffy states. You admire that. I can tell. Indeed. It's just, it'll break Nami. I don't want Nami to break. She's about to. We watch the villagers gathering makeshift weapons and their leader making his speech. She's about to see them walk to their deaths. Luffy nods in agreement as we sense Nami running up. I see the hopelessness in Nami's eyes, but the desire to still save everyone. The despair as she can't convince the villagers to not attack, and telling her to run and live her dreams. You know it's useless. It must have been so hard, worse than death, what you have had to endure. For 8 long years you have carried our lives on your back. Let go now and live. We have made our choice. Gen-san hugs her and then leaves with the villagers. Let's go everyone. Even if we fail, we'll show them our pride. Nami falls to the ground griping her tattoo so hard I thought she was going to draw blood. She takes her dagger and begins stabbing into her arm repeatedly to try and get rid of it, yelling Arlong's name with hate and rage every stab. Luffy goes to her and stops her mid-strike. Luffy, Nami whispers as he throws the dagger away from her. What are you still doing here? I told you to leave. I don't want you here. Leave, leave, leave. She kept repeating it till she broke down crying. Do you really want me to leave, or do you want me to make someone else leave? Luffy asks. She looks back at him. Luffy. Help me. He's quiet for a moment as his eyes are shadowed by his hat. He takes his hat and puts it on her head. Walking a few steps back, he yells to the sky and any that'll listen, but especially to the broken girl, of course I will. I get up from my spot and walk to Nami. Tapping the hat, I tell her, a man will protect his treasure with his life. This is his treasure. Take care of it. I turn to Luffy, careful of his teeth. Luffy nods and walks off, telling the others who had been waiting, let's go. Yeah. They join him and walk to Arlong Park. Nami watches them go, trying to hold back her tears and failing. She looks up at me. I pull up my hood over my head and fasten my mask into place. They'll protect your heart's treasure. I'm going to get your cold, hard, cash treasure. Geppo. I let my vampire out and can feel my fangs grow and every sense sharpen. Luffy's paw. I sense Sky leave with a feeling of anticipation swirling around her. I knew what was going to happen. Her eyes had turned gold as she asked to beat up the Marines. I knew her vampire side required blood spilled right now. I do not care though, I've known her for a little over a year. She does not kill without thought, unless she has no control, but she will not let herself reach that point. As Usopp, Sanji, Zoro, and I walk to Arlong Park, the sky begins to darken with gray clouds, as if anticipating the confrontation. When we reach the gates, I notice the villagers of Kokoyashi villages gathered around them, some looking at the gates, some looking at us. Move aside. I tell the villagers and they part. I close my eyes and focus on the gates, searching for the weak point. There, I surge forward and punch 2 spots, and one final time as the gates crumble. Which one of you is Arlong? I ask as the dust clears. Arlong. That would be me, says the fishman in the chair. I study him. Just like Sky, a shark fishman. Sokka. I'm Luffy. I tell him as I approach him. Luffy, so, what are you? Arlong asks. I'm a pirate and this is part of my crew. I have 2 more. One is taking care of the Marines you pay off, the other I came to retrieve. Retrieve? I see. Who? I don't answer as 2 fishmen walk up and stop me, saying something I didn't bother to pay attention to. Move? I grab them and smash their heads together. I can see Arlong's surprise. Again I ask, who? I stare at him for a long moment, then with surge forward and give him a punch to the face, making fly into a wall of the courtyard. How dare you make my navigator cry? Oi! Sanji yells as he takes out the furious small fries fishman. She's our navigator too. Sorry. I tell him. At least try to sound like you mean it, he says as he glares at me. I watch Arlong and see Sky's words to me. He easily loses his temper when his species' superiority is threatened or questioned. Arlong was getting madder every time we defeated one of his men. A pirate? Your navigator? So that's what your deal is. You're after Nami from the very start. You're out of luck though, I won't let her go. Arlong laughs. I glare at him. I'll make you. What can you, 4 inferior creatures, do? Arlong scoffs. Before I could do or say anything, the octopus guy walks to the edge of the courtyard where the water path to the sea was. Fools! You're not worth Arlong's time. He'll be more than enough. He turns around and blows his mouth like a trumpet. A sea king rises out of the water. A familiar sea king. I look up at him, staring into his eyes. I nod to him. I understand Momu, but I'll defeat him. He won't come after you if you leave. I do not want to fight you. Momu nods and turns back to the sea, pausing as Arlong threatens him, but puts his trust in me. I glare at the fishmen around me. I did not come to fight you. My fight is with Arlong. I say lowly to them, back off. They hesitate and then charge forward. I sigh and pull out my katana. Arashi, I slash in an arc in front of me. I sheathe my sword as they are knocked away. As the fishmen leaders step up, I order who to attack who. Sanji, take care of Grey Finny. Zoro, Octopus Clueless. Usopp, Blue Odd Lips. They're the leaders. Oh, and Usopp, be careful, Bluey can spit water out like bullets. Where do you get the names? Zoro asks as they face the ones I told them. Sky. I grin, by the way, Zoro. What? She's trying to think a new name for you. She thinks Greenhead no longer works. I grin a bit wider. He scowls. Why can't that woman leave me alone? He attacks Octopus clueless. Need to work on his one sword style. It's very L name for me. Sanji asks as he runs forward attacking Grey Finny. I need you focused on the fight and determined. I'm not telling, I state flatly. Why can't you tell me please? I ignore his protests and watch Usopp running around dodging Blue Guy's bullets. He seems slow. Oh, Usopp, take off your ring. He stops and looks at me. He runs around dodging again as Odd Lips tries to put holes in him. The ring Sky gave you're still not used to the complete weight, so you're slower. I see him take off the ring and it dissipates. Usopp noticeably starts moving faster. I nod in satisfaction. I hear Grey Finny calling Nami a lousy girl. I want to punch him, but see Sanji's ire. Never insult a woman in front of him. Sanji's kicks were quicker and far more powerful. I look back to watch Zoro. Johnny and Yosaku. I call out to them. Hi, Luffy and Ikki. They call. Lend Zoro your swords. I instruct them. Heads up Zoro and Ikki. They yell as they throw their swords. Arigato, Captain, Johnny, and Yosaku. Zoro calls out, immediately fighting better. Work on Zoro's swordsmanship, everyone's speed, improve Sanji's kicks and see if it can be augmented. Definitely everyone's haki. Both types, I mutter watching everyone fight. More attacks for Usopp's slingshot. They're mostly tricks right now. Still such a long way to go and we are almost to the Grand Line. I don't know how much time passed as I watch each fight finally come to a close, in our favor, when Sky returns. Era, you're just finishing? She asks. Apparently. I look up to see she is sitting on one of the building's roofs. Everything go well? She looks at me for a long moment. I'm satisfied. I met a not-so-bad Marine. Got the treasure in a safe spot. Just need this fight to be over and I can return it to Nami. She looks around then looks back at me. Why aren't you fighting? He's not. I point to Arlong just sitting there and I pout. She stares at Arlong for a long moment. Mizu no Pasutoru. She punches him with a water fist from behind him, catapulting Arlong forward. There you go. Now he doesn't want to just sit there. An Akuma no Mi. Which one of you has it? Arlong looks around at all of us, except Sky, as he doesn't try to look up. He focuses on me. I'll bet it's you. I tilt my head. Nope. None of us do. Shigen. A small hole appears in Arlong's shoulder. I nod in satisfaction. So I have enough power to pierce him, even without haki. You think one little hole in me is going to defeat me? Arlong tries to taunt. Oh, I know it won't. It just goes to show that even you, a superior species, can bleed, I mock. He yells in rage as rushes forward to punch me. Shigen. Sokusha. I send rapid air bullets at Arlong and they all pierce him, but he keeps coming. I prepare to dodge, but am too slow as he kicks me into the sea. I let myself sink for a moment to get my bearing. Quickly righting myself I swim to the surface, thanking Sky for her hard training. You can barely swim, even though you plan to go sailing on the sea? I'd understand if you had an Akuma no Mi, but you don't. So the next month is going to be swim lessons. You'll be a very good swimmer by the end of this month, if I have my way. And believe me, I'm going to have my way. She grins at me. I shudder even as I break the surface and jump out of the water with a weak, Geppo-like kick. Her training had literally been throw me into a body of water and create a water monster to chase me around. Fast, slow, quick turns. Everything a creature in the water would do, she imitated. I get caught, my portion of meat is reduced. Needless to say, but I'm no longer an anchor. Take that Shanks. I stare at Arlong's surprised face as I bounce in the air. Like I said, I'm not a devil fruit user. Kamasora. I zigzag through the air and then land in front of Arlong, giving him a punch in the chest, making him fly into the building. I freeze as I realize I nearly sent him flying right into Sky. She looks up from her book. I'm putting you through accuracy training and situation awareness. Do we have to? It won't happen again. I try to reassure her. Arlong appears behind her and tries to grab her. She disappears and reappears behind him, roundhouse kicking him off the roof. I jump into the air and grab him mid-flight and punch him into the ground. Using Geppo, I boost my way down and punch him further into the cement. I land on the ground a few feet away and look back up at Sky. I really don't need the training, I tell her. Yes you do. Arlong jumped into the sea. She points behind me. I look around for Arlong. I moan in despair as I see his fin swimming in the sea. Bye-bye, wonderful meet. I stand at the edge of the water and close my eyes, using my haki to see Arlong, quickly dodging as he shoots out of the sea. A few more times of this and I was getting annoyed. Standing still once more, I focus my haki. I realize that he can't turn as he uses his shark darts. Focusing as he heads towards me once more, I moved out of his path and quickly punch him before he can fully pass me, sending into the building once more. The wall is fully destroyed as Arlong walks out with a giant saw-like sword and his eyes slightly insane. You inferior human. What have you done to me, a fish man? He yells in rage, swinging the sword at me in a chopping motion. I jump into the air and look where the sword cut. The cement was completely destroyed. I yell in surprise as he swings the sword at me mid-air. I dodge to the building. I keep dodging up the building as he keeps chopping the sword at me. I land on a balcony trying to catch my breath and quickly dodge again into a window of the building as he tries to slice my torso from the rest of me. I quickly roll and land into a crouch. I look around the room as Arlong comes walking in taunting me. I ignore him and sit on the floor, resting a moment. This room? What is it? Full of so many papers? I ask him. I feel so much sadness, fear, and yet hope. He points his sword in my face. This is where I have that woman draw my sea maps. They all sea charts that Nami drew. She has quite the talent and it should be used for us fishmen. Nami is our nakama, so stop interfering. Nakama? I whisper and then glare at Arlong. What's with that look in your eyes? Nami is our navigator, I tell him. You'd only waste her talent. How many in the world can draw maps like these? She has a gift there is. I let his voice fade, only half listening to what he's saying as I watch a pen fall from the desk with a partial map on it. It rolls to me and I pick it up looking at it. This pen. It's stained with blood. I could hear a child's cries and tears, longing for her family, and a hint of hope that she could escape this place. I feel the sword being pressed against my neck and start listening to Arlong, listening to the last of his pathetic speech. Could you use that girl as efficiently as that? I set the pen down and grab one of the teeth of the sword. I stare at the pen and continue hearing the emotions of years spent forced to use it. Squeezing my hand, I shatter the blade. Use? I snarl at him. I ignore his gasp, get up and knock the sword away, shattering another tooth. I know now how to help Nami. To free her, to help her find her happiness. This room, this building, this place can't exist if she wants to be free. I kick the desk out of the room, shattering the wall it was against. Nami Pav. I ignore the mumblings of everyone and stare at the window of that room. My eyes flick to Sky as she closes her book and gets up, jumping to land next to me, where I stand with the Res Tof Luffy's crew. Nand, is there something wrong happening? I ask her. She shakes her head. Your prison will fall. Luffy's anger is sparking into rage. She points to the room everyone is watching. Just watch. I look up in time to see a desk burst out of the wall. I watch it fall, ignoring Johnny and Yosaku. Luffy, what are you doing? I watch the desk. Memuth. The fear, the pain. I watch the desk shatter against the ground. Bookshelves fly out next, then finally so many charts. The shelves shatter against the ground and I watch the charts float down into the sea and everywhere. I try to hold back my tears, but fail. Arigato, Luffy, I barely whisper out. Suddenly something bursts out of the roof and I look up and gasp to see Luffy. What the? He's all black, I cry out. Full body coca. You fool, you're not ready for that, what are you doing? I look at Sky in alarm, she yells that out. What are you talking about? Luffy darts back into the building with a yell full of rage and determination. The building shakes and cracks with huge sounds of destruction. Sky turns to Sanji, get her and everyone away, the building's about to collapse. But Luffy, what about him? I cried to Sky as Sanji pulls me away. He'll be fine. I'll take care of him, she reassures me and then rushes into the building as it starts to collapse. Everyone stops at a safe distance and we all brace ourselves against the wind caused by the building's collapse. The dust clears as does the dark clouds, and we see the ruins of Arlong Park. Sky, Luffy, I scream out as I don't see them anywhere. Please be fine, please be fine. The sun's shining now and I'm about to run and look for them when something bursts out of the debris. I gasp as I see who it was. Luffy, Sky. I frown though as I see Luffy is being supported by Sky and breathing heavily. I watch as he takes shaky steps away from Sky and she lets him. He takes a deep breath. Nami, you are my nakama. Tears once more gather in my eyes and I try to hold them back, but fail. Hi. I nod my head and choke out. He sways and Sky catches him, helping him down to all of us. I rush up when they are close. Is he alright? I ask Sky. She nods. Lost a bit of blood as Arlong bit him in the neck, but it's mostly exhaustion. His last move took almost all his energy. Nothing a day or two of rest can't cure. And meat. Luffy adds, grinning at me. I laugh and take the straw hat from my head and place it on his. Of course. I'm sure everyone would be pleased to give you a lot of meat. Good. He can enjoy while he still can, because once we leave, it's training time. I did not enjoy Arlong almost crashing into me or having a building fall on me. Sky states annoyed. Luffy groans. Buy wonderful meat. I'll miss having you. Jerky, steak, ham. He starts listing all the types of meat. Baka. You learn quickly. It'll be a short time you are deprived. Sky tell him and then lets him fall onto the ground in a heap. I giggle. I was about to ask them a question when that rat marine shows up. He starts spouting out something, but I ignore him as Sky whispers to me. I have your 93 million berries and then some. Just need this guy to leave and then I can give it to you. Arigato, Sky. How did I stop as she shakes her head? You don't want to know the details, she looks down. I understand, Sky. Just so you know, I find I don't care. For the little time I've known you, I can tell you're not one who just kills. You have a code. I smile at her. Arigato, Nami. Whether you join the crew or not, you'll be a good nakama to have. She nods at me. I walk to the downed Nezumi and look at him. This is for shooting Nijiko and for tearing up Belmare's tangerine orchard. I hit in the face with my staff, knocking him into the sea. Arigato, Nami. That felt good, Nijiko tells me. Give him a 1,000 more of those. Jen-san yells. I kneel down and start pulling on his weird whiskers as he climbs out of the water. I start listing all the things he should do and he kept agreeing. All of us watched as he left, yelling out threats. Nay, Sky? Luffy asks Sky. Think he'll keep his word and help out here, once he sees his ship? Hi. He'll keep his word no matter what now. He knows it's stupid not to. At least in this. In other things though, he's still a rat. Sky shrugs. I laugh. He is, isn't he? The others laugh with me and we start talking. I couldn't stop the grin on my face. Free? I'm finally free. Everyone else too. Navy Brand 16 HQ Nezumi yells into the receiver. Listen, there is a pirate with a straw hat named Luffy. I deem him and his 5 crew members as enemies of the government. Especially a woman named Sky. They managed to take on Arlong, a fishman who was purported to be invincible. Sky attacked my ship while I was inland on Navy business, killed many of my men, and stole everything from the treasury. Based on their threats and danger level, a large bounty is being placed on her, and their captain, Straw Hat Luffy, sending photos now. Photos were printed. Huh? You couldn't get better photos? Nezumi yells at a poor soldier. No, that was the best I could get. One photo was of a woman. You could only tell it was a woman with the wisps of hair coming from the hood on her head, blowing in the wind. She wore a black half mask, covering her mouth and nose, and was staring upward with a distant look on her face. She looked more mysterious than dangerous. The other was of a grinning boy. The grin impossibly wide, with eyes closed, a scar under his eyes with 2 stitches and waving at something. A worn straw hat rested on top of his dark hair. He looked more mischievous than dangerous. Remember their vile pirates, dead or alive. I want them on posters everywhere. You and Sky are relentless in training us. How much longer of this? Nami groans as she sits down. I laugh as everyone, except Sky, sits down at the table to eat dinner. Till we are satisfied you are at a sufficient level. Tomorrow you guys can pretty much relax, though. That's a relief. Nami says as she digs into her food and the rest of us do the same. Think Sky is alright? Sanji asks worried. She's been gone for a few hours. The door to the cabin opens right as he finishes his sentence. I'm alright. Took me a bit longer to do and get everything I wanted. Sky walks in and places a box near the table. 12 baby den mushis and 1 normal one. She hands me a map and points to the box. Everyone take a mushi. Instructions for care and all the numbers are on a paper. It'll be good to have tomorrow. She sits down at the table, takes off her mask, then slams it back on again. Something wrong? I ask as I finish my food. Garlic and onions. Scent is too strong for me right now. Just fed. She replies and lays her head on the table. I look at her concerned. Again? Shadow travel takes more out of me than I thought it would. Especially since I don't know this world very well. The Grand Line is going to be brutal for that. Odd, considering one of your favorite elements is shadow and you are creature of the night, Zoro comments. The elements aren't balanced in my body. I may have been made to have the elements and live with them just fine, but each one is battling its opposite for supremacy. It's why I tire easily when I use large amounts of energy. So while traveling in the shadows, your light abilities are acting up, making you have to use more energy to keep an element from lashing out. I realize, you weren't very tired after raiding that marine boat, though. I point out to her. I mostly used vampire speed, a water sword and my pistol, as well as hand-to-hand combat. I didn't use the elements much that time. Yet the Marines still want you alive. Why? Nami asks. They think she has an unknown Akuma no Mi. They want her alive so they can kill her later to get the fruit. No guarantee to get the fruit if she's brought in dead, I say. Not like they could anyway. I die, I turn to ash or dust. No proof to bring. Sky states matter-of-factually. The others looked slightly green. No one's going to die soon, so. What did you find out about Logatown? I ask Sky. A Captain Smoker has been stationed there. He has stopped all the pirates who dock there for supplies before going to the Grand Line. He has the Moku no Mi. He also uses a sea stone-tipped jeet. He's dedicated to capturing pirates and criminals, but overall seems like a good guy. The townspeople like him. Any subordinates of note? There is someone he almost regards as an apprentice. Master Chief Petty Officer Tashigi. She seems to adore katanas and is a proficient swordsman, but can be clumsy. She makes 2 mirages, one of Smoker and one of Tashigi. I look at Zoro as he makes a small gasp. He's staring at Tashigi looking slightly in pain. Wonder what that's about. Do you still want to go to Logatown, Luffy? We have enough supplies to skip it, Sanji asks. We're going. I state firmly. I'm not entering the Grand Line without seeing where the Great Pirate Era began. Where Gold D. Roger lived, and where he died. Alright then. I could use some new clothes, Nami says. I need some swords. Even with the training we've been doing, 1 sword feels weird, Zoro says. Nami smirks. How are you going to do that? You're broke if I remember correctly. Zoro falters, until, I'll give you some money, Zoro. Sky lifts her head off the table and looks at him. Zoro looks skeptical. Really? What's the catch? None. She blinks at his narrow-eyed look. What? I can be nice to you once in a while. He grumbles. Fine. How much? 1 million. But you better not use all of it or I'll make you pay it back. She warns as she pulls out her chest of money and takes out the allotted amount. Zoro takes the offered money. Dumo. I'll try not to spend too much. I look at Sanji and Usopp. What about you two? Supplies for the ship, Sanji states. Not sure yet. Probably supplies for sharpshooting. Usopp shrugs. What about you, Sky? I look at her. She shrugs. I might stay on the ship and work on balancing my powers. I got new knives today. They were having a 1-day sale. Good quality. No, the swords weren't on sale. She adds to Zoro. He relaxes. That's good. Yoshi, tomorrow's going to be an awesome day. I yell in excitement. Next day I look down 2 roads. I'm lost? Sky's going to be mad I forgot my map. I tell the empty streets. I shrug and go down a random street hoping it was the right direction. I walk down some steps. It's a good thing Sky is on the ship. I'd never be able to. I trail off as I realize who is in front of me. Kneeling on the ground, putting full vials of blood in her storage, is Sky. You'd never be able to wander on your own ever again? Is that it? Sky doesn't look up as she speaks. Sue, I thought you were on the ship. I wave in a random direction even though she wasn't looking at me. I was. Almost blew it up, so I decided that since we are in a well-populated town, I'd get some blood. Don't know when I'll be able to on the Grand Line, and since we both have bounties now, we'll be on the run from a lot of people. She finishes and stands up, staring at me for a long minute. You forgot your map, didn't you? I grin. Hi, don't look so proud. She looks around. Your luck kicked in. Even though you're lost, there is something interesting to check out. She points to something behind and above me. I turn around and look. Gold Roger bar. Ooh, you're right, let's go. I dash inside and sense Sky following. We go down some steps with pieces of wanted posters left on the wall after being torn off. Kind of a dreary place, Sky comments, though not as bad as some places I've seen. I peek in the doorway and see no one there, but I feel one person. We walk in. Hello? Is this Gold Roger's bar? I saw the sign and was curious. I asked the lone man sitting at a table. Scram, kids. I'm closing this place down today. Not like you two belong here anyway. You going under? I couldn't help asking. Sky snickers in the background. I'm closing it down myself. Now, get lost. I walk to a stool and sit down. Sky leans against the wall near the door. I was just curious about the name. That's all. I tell the man, and then point to the skull on his table. That skull, it's huge. He then tells me about the skull and a few more Roger stories like it. Now though, all that's left in this town are cowards and men crazy enough to challenge that sea of evil are all but gone now. That's why I'm closing this place down, the man tells me. I grin and shiver in excitement. I'm going to the Grand Line too. Huh? Roger was so cool. He's how a pirate should be. That's why I set out to sea, to go to the Grand Line, find One Piece, and become king of the pirates. I grin at him in determination. That was fun. I like him. I tell Sky as we head to Main Street. Sky replies distracted. Something wrong? I ask her. Nope. Just thinking over the encounter. He seemed to see something in you that reminded him of something. I wonder what it was. I was about to ask her to explain when I realized where we were. Main Street. We're actually walking down it. Just think, could Gold D. Roger have walked these very stones? Most likely did. Especially on the way to his execution. I speed up in excitement, and soon reach the execution platform. I look up at it. Can you believe it, Sky? We are standing in the very place where the Great Pirate Era began. I can feel it. The lingering sense of excitement from all those years ago. The stones here still remember, and still pulse with it. She looks around her wide-eyed. I stare at the top of the platform. I had to go up there. I walk to the base and start climbing. Wouldn't just Geppo up? Why in the world are you climbing? This draws less attention. I reply. A moment of silence. Yeah, you're actually drawing a lot of attention right now. I look away from where I was trying to climb and see the gathering and staring crowd. Oh. I grin down at her. You're right. And you don't care, do you? Her voice was resigned. Betsu ni. I turn back to climbing as she sighs. I get a little higher than before when a voice calls out, hey. I look down and see Captain Smoker. Oh great, it's him. Nanda. I'm busy right now. I yell to him as I cling to the metal of the platform. Are you the guy with the biggest bounty in the East Blue? Smoker asks. Tabun. Nay, how do you smoke and talk with 2 cigars, Smokey? I hear Sky snickering. I just do. Now, are you the guy? Smoker asks with a hint of exasperation. I sigh. I'm Luffy. Do you need something? I'd like to get back to climbing. I look back at the platform and look to where I need to grab next. I'm in charge of Logia Town. You're under arrest. I look back at the man. Huh? Under arrest? Forget it. I grin at him. I'm about to go into the Grand Line and become king of the pirates. King of the pirates? Then you'll have to beat me first. That's the rule of this town. Assuming you're brave enough to fight me, that is. He taunts. I look at him in excitement. Yosh, let's do. Sky speaks up. Chato Matt. You can't seriously be thinking of a fight right now. We've barely had a day off. Let's wait a little longer. Ah, do we have to? I really want to fight him. I look at Sky pleading. Damn those eyes. No, now get off that platform, and let's go. We can come back and have your fight, later. I think about it for a minute and sigh. Hi. Let's go. I let go of the bars and drop down. Actually, you're not going anywhere. Smoker speaks up and prepares to fight. Captain, cover your eyes. Sky whispers to me and I do so with my hat. Out of the corner of my eye I see Sky reach into a satchel on her belt and then throw her hand out, then she rushes me away. Once we were safely away, I ask her, what did you do? I acted like I took something out of my satchel that momentarily blinds them, when I just really flashed a weak ray of light, she explains. Yoku Yutane. I was about to say more when I realized I was very sleepy. I yawn. Gom ne, but I'm going to take a nap. Thankfully we were in a park and I lie down on a bench. You do that. Sky settles on the ground nearby and brings out a book. I relax and let the darkness close in. I sit up and stretch. Woo, that was a nice nap. I look around and see Sky still reading her book next to the bench I was on. Let's go to the execution platform. Sky looks up, then puts her book away, standing up. Hi, you lead the way. But I don't know, here it is, I protest. Exactly my point. We'll kill more time letting you lead, she states with a small smile. Stupid vampire killing my fun. I really want to see the top of that platform. I mumble as I walk off in a direction I think the execution place is. I hear Sky sigh, baka. It's the other way. Oh, shi. Arigato. I turn around and start walking, quietly singing a song I remember Shanks' crew singing. Going to deliver Bink's sake, following the sea breeze, riding on the waves. I continue singing and I hear Sky humming along. There's a few familiar people running about in the town. Not the crew, Sky suddenly says. Oh, I stop and sense the area. I groan, please tell me that isn't Buggy. That isn't Buggy, Sky tells me flatly. I glare at her. She shrugs. It is him. He probably wants revenge on you for Orangetown. What did you do to him anyway? I may have used a typhoon move on him with my sword and Rankyaku, I tell her. Impressive. She looks around. I sense Marimo nearby, she grins. We head in his direction and find him admiring a sword. Oh, that's a cool sword you have. I lean forward and look at the sword. Seems like a troublesome one though. Zoro puts the sword away. It's a cursed sword. What are you doing here? I stand straight. I'm lost. Zoro looks at Sky, and you're not helping him because? She snickers. Kills more time this way. Avoiding an inevitable fight with Smoker for as long as possible so you guys can enjoy the day a bit. How much did that sword, and the other one, cost? Nothing. Tested my luck against the blade's curse and came out on top. Guy gave me both for free. I guess I really impressed him. She nods. That's good. We'll have to practice the black blade soon. Those are some nice swords. Hate to see them break. Zoro nods determined. Nay, Zoro. Do you know where the execution platform is? I ask. You're asking him? Sky asks surprised. Then burst out laughing. That'd be worse than looking on your own. Shut up. Zoro yells. She. Fine. I'll keep looking. You're welcome to join us, Zoro. I look at my stomach as it growls. Hey, how about we all stop for lunch? Sounds good. Zoro nods and gets up. Sky shrugs. I could have a fruit or two. We walk off looking for a restaurant to eat at. Nay, Sky, how come you eat fruit, but not other foods? Zoro asks. When I was first turned I could eat all sorts of food. Things happened, and fruit is the only thing I can stand to eat now besides blood. Anytime I think of eating food, I feel sick. Sky shivers. That too bad. Food is really good, especially meat, I say. And sake. Zoro adds. Sky gags. No thanks to either of those. I choose a restaurant and we go in and sit at a table. We order, and as I chat with Zoro, Sky pulls out her book again. I looked at the title, Brag Men, Fiction Romance. Nay, Sky. That seems like an unusual book for you to read, I comment. I stole it from Nami. It has many stories about the Grand Line. I have no idea which ones are true, but it's a nice read. She doesn't look up from her book. Sugoi, I don't want to read it though. The adventures are ruined if you already know about it, I tell her. She chuckles. That it is, but I'm your scout, and I like having information. I like the heads up so I can keep you alive. Zoro nods. Hi. We do have a reckless captain. Everyone on the ship is reckless to some point, Sky points out. She. She's right. I grin at Zoro. He grins back and shrugs. Guess so. Ah, that was good. I lean back in my chair stuffed. We have to eat good before we leave. Zoro nods in agreement. Yeah, that hit the spot. Who's paying? Sky asks. Oh, and not me. I only ordered a small plate of fruit. I don't have any money. I grin. Guess I'll pay, Zoro grumbles. I was about to say more when something fell on my head and a coin fell out. Ooh, lucky. I turn to the guy behind us and grin when I realize who it was. Pretending not to know him, I thank him for treating us and return his coin bag. Zoro thanks him as well, and we all walk out. I start laughing when we turn the corner, Sky joining in. Hey, what's so funny? Zoro asks. Buggy just paid for our food, Sky smirks. Eh? Really? We nod and Zoro starts laughing. That's just perfect. What's he doing here anyway? Revenge, most likely. I say as we walk along, Sky guiding us from the back with a word here and there. A little while later we reach the square. Hoo, here again. I rush forward and using Geppo this time I reach the top of the platform. Sugoi. What of you? This is what he saw as he died. Nay, Captain, we are being surrounded, Sky calls. I look down to see her putting on her hood and mask. By who? Marines, Buggy and his pirates, and someone vaguely familiar that makes me mad for some reason. Ah, Smoker, I'm happy about. I do want to battle him. Buggy and them, not really. I doubt he's improved much. I mutter knowing Sky will hear. I see her relay it to Zoro. Hey you. Get off the platform now. Someone's yells through something. I look around to see a Marine with a megaphone. Nand? I quite like it up here. I think I'll stay for a few more minutes, then I'll get edge of the platform. That's a special execution platform under the control of the world government. Get down here right now. I grin. So strict. Nope, I'm not coming down, officer. I'll come up and Ari. He's hit aside by a huge club. HMPH. Now is not the time for small fries, the woman holding the club says. You, Sky yells. I only got a quarter of your damn bounty because you just had to escape. Ah. Alvida. You look different. I comment, so, you remember me. Good, because after your passionate hit to me, I'm going to make you mine, she states. I draw back in horror. No, go away. Skymaker, go away. As you wish, stay away from my captain. Sky attacks her, but for the first time I see Sky fail to harm. Sky stops and stares for a moment. Okay, what fruit do you have that made you look like this? And my attack slide off. A cannonball flies by and I realize Buggy had arrived. The fountain explodes and the fixture flies too, and slides off Alvida. I ate the sub no mi. I now have such smooth skin that everything slides off. Unfortunately my beauty couldn't be improved much. She pats her cheek. Really, I can't say that I agree. I say as she glares at me and Zoro laughs. Hey Alvida. Sky calls and Alvida looks at her. Stay unharmed from this. Kako. Sky punches her with haki and is sent flying. Ah. That felt good. Sky walks to stand next to Zoro. Oi, don't punch my business partner, a man in a hood yells. Ah buffoon. Thanks for lunch. I call out. He throws off his cloak and screams out. It's Buggy, you moron. I ignore him and the screaming people and dodge the attack from behind. Grabbing the man's neck I slam him into the platform, then sit on him. You're not a very comfy pillow to sit on. I comment. I look down at the man. Oh, you're the one Zoro beat. The man growls. Get off me, Mugiwara. Nope. Get off my chief of staff, Mugiwara, Buggy yells. Nope, I repeat. The man in question struggles to get up, making for an uncomfortable pillow. On second thought. Here you go. I stand up and kick him off the platform. I sit on the edge again and swing my legs. 4 Buggy pirates rush to catch the falling man and succeed. You'll pay for that, Mugiwara, Buggy threatens. Make me. I stick my tongue out at him. Or you could just leave and try later. I have someone else I want to fight. I look at Sky. Can you warn the others to get to the ship? The Marines will try to cut us off. Ryoukai. She pulls out a baby Den Den Mushi and begins calling the others. I grin at the darkening clouds. You want to know something buggy? What? The man asks curious. I'm the one who'll be king of the pirates. I yell throughout the square. I beat you easily last time, and I'll do so now. You are not the one I wanted to fight, but looks like I have no choice. I jump from the platform. Soru. I appear in front of him and punch him hard in the gut. Zoro, Sky. Take care of the rest. Ryoukai. The two shout and begin fighting the rest. I notice Zoro has put his bandana on. Bara Bara Festival. Buggy attacks. I pull out my katana. Kamasora. I quickly dash forward, slicing his parts as I go and punch him in the face with haki. I let out a groan as I feel the Marines closing in. Zoro, Sky. Let's go. If we don't leave now, we'll never get to the Grand Line. Hi. The rain starts to pour as we run. Zoro and I follow Sky as she heads to the ship. Use your haki, Zoro. You can't lose us now. Sky calls back. He growls but agrees. We soon come upon a woman standing in the middle of the street. I let out a low sigh. We don't have time for this, Sky. Sky darts forward to the woman and the woman drops after a few seconds. What did you do to her? Zoro yells out. Don't worry. I just hit a pressure point and knocked her out. She'll be fine in a bit. Sky answers as we continue to run. A few more minutes of running and we run into another person. Although this time I was a bit more happy to see who it was. Smoker. You two go on ahead. I'll be fine. Zoro nods and runs ahead. Sky stays for a moment. Careful, come back safe. She then runs off, passing Zoro and pulling him as he is about to go down the wrong road. We'll see if you're fine in a minute. Smoker says. He turns his hands into smoke and tries to surround me with it. Kamasora. I zigzag to throw him off then land in front of him to punch him in the chest. He goes flying back. That actually hurt, but it's not going to be enough, Smoker comments. We'll see. I grin at him. I ready my sword. He comes at me with another smoke attack, but I cut it with haki. Arg. Smoker glares at me as he draws back his smoke. I sheathe my sword. Geppo. Soru. I land behind Smoker and steal his jeet. Gomen Nesai. But I have to reach the Grand Line, and I won't allow anyone to take my freedom. Especially a world government dog. I swing the jeet and quickly put the tip to Smoker's bare chest as he turns around to try and stop me. While he is weakened, I reach into his coat where I see sea stone cuffs and pull them out. Snapping them onto him, I let him go, dropping him onto the ground. Without a word to him I turn around and run to the ship, searching for Sky's aura. Instead I find an unknown presence nearby. It made me curious, because it was so powerful and felt slightly familiar. I rushed to the presence to find a man in a green cloak and hood. I could barely see his face, but in a flash of lighting I saw the tattoo. Atu-san. I quietly say. So you know who I am, Dragon says with surprise. Hi. Oji-san was drunk one time and started talking about you. You also saved Sabo, my brother, I tell him. Ah, I see. We don't have much time. I just came to see you off into the Grand Line. He tells me. You've grown up so strong and I can't wait to see what you do. Shi. Arigato gozaimasu. You helped though with those books you sent. Glad you read them. You want to be king of the pirates? If that is your decision, then go. I run off. Hi? Tell Sabo I said hello. Following Sky's aura once more I head to the sea and Geppo to the ship. Luffy. Glad you are alright. Who is that strange aura you were near? Sky asks. The one who sent me all the books. I tell her. I had told her a few months ago, who I had thought sent me all the books. Soka. Glad you could meet him. Sky grins at me and I grin back. There, that light. Nami yells. The entrance to the Grand Line is just beyond that light. The Grand Line. I say in awe. I look at my crew and they all smile and nod at me. Shall we hold a launching ceremony for setting sail on the Great Sea? Sanji asks. Everyone agrees. Sanji puts his foot on a barrel, to find the all blue. I put my foot up, to be king of the pirates. Zoro puts his up, to be a master swordsman. Then Nami, to draw a world map. Usopp shakily puts his foot up, to be brave warrior of the sea. Sky puts her up, to be free and travel with my nakama. I look at her in surprise and she grins at me. We are going to the Grand Line, I yell. Yeah, Ms. Nami. I have a report of love, dark clouds ahead and looks like there's a storm under them. Sanji yells down. I look at Nami standing next to me, in front of the lounge studying a map. We back on our original course? She nods, tense. Seems like it. I don't understand how we are going up a mountain though. I shrug. There seems to be a current that helps us get up. We'll have to find it quickly and hope we don't crash into the red line. Would you be able to change our course if we were in the wrong one? She looks at me hopeful. I thought about for a moment, with the strength of the current that is indicated, nope. She deflates. How are we going to know we are in the right current? That's how. I point to her. She looks at me confused. I don't get it. Have you been meditating like I asked you to, focusing on the winds, sea, and sky? She frowns. Yeah, I have. Doesn't seem to be helping anything. Really, you aren't sensing wind changes faster? Current changes? A storm gathering? I prod her. Her eyes widened. Actually I am. Even though we didn't turn away fast enough, I knew we needed to stop before we entered the calm belt. Also, that thing with the mirage on the water, at the other island, I was calm as I could feel there was nothing wrong happening, other times too. I smile. Yep, I think you have some sort of haki that goes beyond a typical navigator's instinct to predict weather. She grins. That would be incredible. How come it isn't mentioned though in that book Luffy lent me? I shrug. It's my theory. No one knows everything haki can do. It's an extension of yourself, so it's a possibility. She nods, I see. She was going to say more when she turns around and yells inside to Usopp at the helm, to turn the ship more to the starboard side, now. I feel the ship shift a bit. Told you, we'll be fine, Nami. She sighs. I guess. Still. A mountain. I chuckle. We just saw dragons, this isn't that far off. True, she calls out. Everyone inside, I want to discuss what's going to happen. We all gather inside the lounge and I lean against the wall, staring at Usopp trying to move the helm as Nami talks. Really, we'll be climbing up a mountain? Zoro asks in disbelief. Based on Luffy's book, rumors, and this map, it seems like it, Nami replies. Luffy laughs in excitement. Neat. I wish we were crossing already. Don't you understand the danger if anything goes wrong? This is the reason only half who try make it to the Grand Line, live, Nami burst out. I do know and I don't care. We'll be fine, Luffy states nonchalant. Nami opens her mouth to yell and I cut in. Relax, Nami. Take deep breaths, search around and tell me, are we in danger? She glares at me, it's a little hard with him yelling in the background. She points to Usopp still trying to move the helm. It's no use, Usopp. I call out to him. We are locked in a current flowing straight to Reverse Mountain, and then the Grand Line. Usopp stops yelling and walks to the table. I look at Nami. She sighs and closes her eyes. After a few minutes she opened them and look around. I'm still not entirely convinced, but I sense no danger. What about you? She looks at me. I smile at her. You seem to have timed it right. Even at this distance, I can see that we are most likely in the right current. That's not reassuring. I need a definitive, yes. She glares at me once more. The sound of rain on the cabin stopped her from yelling at me more. Sanji, Luffy, tie up the sails. Right away, Ms. Nami. Sanji yells as he dashes out the door dragging Luffy. I put on a waterproof military-style hat and followed them out. While they tie up the sails I stare ahead while standing in front of the lounge. Seeing the huge rock in front of us I yell out, Red Line and Reverse Mountain straight ahead. The others except Luffy, still up where he had finished tying the sails, rushed to stand near me and stare at the huge reddish cliff face in front of us. That's insanely huge, Usopp stutters out. I can't see the top because of the clouds. Luffy laughs. The Red Line, eh? He looks back at me grinning. Finally here. The ship jerks as it's pulled into the current that'll take us up Reverse Mountain. Luffy is thrown of his perch but quickly rights himself. I look at Nami. Are we on the right course? If needed I could adjust slightly, but only that much. She stares straight ahead. After a few moments she grinned. No, we're perfectly on course. It's so hard to believe, even looking at it, but the ocean really is going straight up the mountain, Zoro states. Those water gates, we are perfectly in the middle, get through those and we are safe. Nami speaks out tensely. Luffy runs to sit on the figurehead despite the fierce rocking of the boat. I jump over the railing and run to stand by the railing at the figurehead, just as we pass through the gates safely. We made it, everyone yells in relief and excitement. Yahoo! It's now just a straight shot to the summit, Nami tells everyone, with a grin that could almost rival Luffy's. Zoro stands next to me. The rest soon follow, everyone laughing in joy. After a few minutes, we pass into the clouds, and then emerge out of them to see the summit. It sparkled as water sprayed into the air, crystallizing and then bursting apart. Beautiful, I breath out. We are pushed straight into the air and then fall down perfectly to the current going into the Grand Line. Hoo-hoo! Luffy yells in excitement. I can see it. The Grand Line. The greatest sea in the world, here we come. We shoot back down the mountain and officially enter the Grand Line. The others celebrate, but Luffy and I look at each other. Sky, do you sense that? That giant creature somewhere below us? I look into the water trying to see it. Yeah, he sounds so sad though. Luffy comments. I was about to ask more when I felt the creature beginning to rise in the water. It's surfacing. Sky. It's a he, Luffy corrects me. Well, isn't that nice? He is going to turn us into smithereens if we don't move the ship. Oh, right. Everyone to the oars, we need to move closer to the lighthouse. He yells to the still celebrating others. Now, Luffy orders as they try to ask why. We move only slightly closer when the creature surfaced from the water. Thankfully we are far enough from it that the waves it made pushes us closer to the lighthouse. I stare at the giant whale that had appeared. That was close, I comment. Maybe a warning next time? Zoro asks. I'll try, but I wasn't expecting that whale to surface so soon and move so fast. What's up with Luffy? Sanji asks. We look at him standing at the back of the ship staring at the whale. I look at Zoro. Do you see the same thing I do? He sighs. He's going to fight that whale, isn't he? I nod and the others start protesting. Shut up, Zoro yells and they quiet. He walks to Luffy. Do you want us to move closer? Luffy grins at him. Just a bit. We row closer and Luffy uses Geppo to reach the whale. They seem to converse for a bit when Luffy surges forward, punching the whale. The whale knocks him back into the lighthouse. They went back and for a few minutes Luffy using Haki, Geppo, and Tekai to protect himself. It's a draw, Luffy yells out stopping the whale. I'm strong, right? You want this fight to continue, to see who is stronger, don't you? Luffy grins. Your friends are dead, but I'm your rival forever. We have to fight again in order to see who is stronger. After going around the Grand Line we'll come back to see you again. When I come back we'll fight again. Look, the whale is tearing up. I tell the others, as the whale seems to cry out in joy. Nami gasps. What did Luffy learn about this whale to make that promise and the whale respond like that? I shrug. Don't know. I study the whale. Looking at the body of the whale I noticed something odd. Hey guys, am I seeing things or is that a door in the side of the whale? You're definitely seeing things. His head to look, there is no way. He trails off as he sees it. It's door all right, Sanji comments. Why though? Before anyone could make a guess, we saw someone appear from the top of the whale. Did he just climb out of the whale? Nami asks, wide-eyed. Seems like it. I'm going to say more when I feel two presences approaching on the water. Putting on my mask and concealing myself, I air-walk to their boat. Seeing the weapons in the two people's hands and sensing their killing intent, I knew the whale was their target. Using a water slice I cut their weapons apart. Dropping behind them, I drop the concealment. My captain seems to be fond of that whale. It would be your best interests to leave him be. They turn around in surprise and fear. Seeing me they try to attack. I immobilize them quickly with water cuffs on the hands and feet. Who are you? The woman of the two tried to seem brave, but I could smell her fear, even through the mask. TCH. That is my question to you. I'll have my answer later. Right now I'm going to take you to my captain. Geppo. I air-walked to the lighthouse. Carrying the two in a net I quickly formed instead of the cuffs. Reaching Luffy at the shore, I dropped the two on the ground. They tried to make a run for it, but Luffy quickly stopped them. Who are these two? Sky, Luffy looks at them then at me curious. I shrug. Don't know. They did want to kill the whale though, so I brought them to you to deal with. Laboon. His name is Laboon. Luffy glares at me. I glare back. I have no way of knowing that, short of talking to him. I point to Laboon, which, unlike you, I can't. He rubs the back of his neck, embarrassed. Sorry, I just really like this guy. He glares at the two still trying to discreetly escape. Stop trying to leave, and tell me who you are, and why you're trying to kill Laboon. I'm Ms. Wednesday, the blue-haired girl states. I'm Mr. Nine. The man with the crown and marks shaped like nines on his face. Killing that whale would feed our town for 2 to 3 years. I study them, code names. Why do you have those? None of your business. Miss Wednesday replies. I shrug. Fair enough. Eventually I'll find out though. Luffy was glaring at the two making them cower. No one is killing Laboon. He and I have a promise to fulfill. And I thank you for that, an unknown voice says. We looked to the water to see that the others had docked to going merry and were jumping off the ship with an old man. Luffy grins. Ah, you must be Crocus. Laboon was telling me about you and how you stop him from ramming the Grand Line. The man scowls. If I didn't, he'd eventually kill himself. Luffy nods. I see. Well, I was wondering if you have a lot of paint and a big brush? Crocus stares at Luffy for a long minute. Yes, I do. Why? Luffy smiles. I want to make a sign of our promise. Luffy stares at Laboon, or more specifically his scars. I sigh. Do you mind if I paint it? I'm not as good as Usopp, but I'm a bit better than you. No, I will paint it, Luffy declares. A short while later, Laboon's head was painted with the Straw Hat Pirate's Jolly Roger, although it was very crooked. It was sweet though, an assurance and also a deterrent for Laboon not to keep hitting his head on the red line. I look at the two we had tied up. I guess we are taking these two to whatever island they're from? TCH. Do we have to? Zoro asks. There is something about them that's bothering me. You mean their code names? I ask him. Yeah, it reminds me of something, I just can't remember it right now. He stares at them for a long minute, creeping them out. He then shrugs. Well, it'll come to me. He yawns. I'm going to take a nap. He walks off to sit down and lean against something. I shake my head, a smile on my face. Ah, well I guess I'll go see what Nami is doing. I look at the tied up pair. I don't really care what happens to you two as long as you don't cause trouble for us. I glare at them. They shrink back in fear. Nodding in satisfaction, I walk over to Nami, who is sitting at a table nearby looking at a map and our log pose. Nami looks up at me as I sit on a seat across from her. Hey Sky, did you hear Laboon's whole story? I shake my head. Not the whole thing, but I know enough. Waiting for a long 50 years for someone who's never coming back. About to eventually kill himself, hitting his head repeatedly, and then Luffy makes his promise. Nami gives me a reproachful look. There's more to it. TCH. I know, but... I shrug. I don't want to look into it more. Cold heart. Perhaps. It's how I live. There are a few things that can touch my slow heart. Besides, I take on his sorrow, it becomes mine, and I've already got enough. She nods. Fair enough. We just have to wait a bit for the log pose to set. Oh, take a look at this. She hands me her compass. It was spinning around like crazy. Whoa. I knew that the magnetic field here was different, but it's one thing to see it. I hand her back the compass. I'm really thankful Luffy was given a log pose. I have no idea how one is even made. Nami nods, staring at the log pose on her wrist. Yeah, we'll have to be really careful with this one. We can't let it break. Actually, we have another one. I pull it out from my satchel and show it to her. It'll be a good backup. She gasps. Where'd you get that? I smirk. I may or may not have pickpocketed it from Mr. Nine. She smiles and laughs. So I'm not the only thief. Nice one, Sky. I just smile and put it back into my satchel. I take off my mask and relax as I sense the two prisoners make their escape. Sanji comes to our spot with huge plates of food. Ah, so you were finally able to cook that fish you won at Logatown, I comment. Yes, hopefully Luffy won't eat it all. Sanji looks around suspicious. I won't. I may love to eat, but I know not to eat others' portions. Luffy comments as he dashes to sit in a seat. staring at the food hungrily. They all sit down to eat and Crocus joined in. Soon the fish was gone. Nami starts talking to Crocus, getting pointers on navigating through the Grand Line. I look to the sea as I hear an explosion and sense two animals flying off. Weird. Wonder why they were here. Laboon come up and throws two people onto the shore. I sigh. I was hoping we'd seen the last of those two. They're hiding something. Sanji runs down and helps Ms. Wednesday up and starts walking back here with her. Mr. Nine says something causing Sanji to look back. When all three reach us, Sanji points to them. Apparently they have a favor to ask. Luffy, who had moved to sit on the table, stares at them. What do you want? The bow before him. Could you take us to Whiskey Peak? Mr. Nine asks. Whiskey Peak. Odd name. Where is that? It's where we live. Could you take us there? Ms. Wednesday pleads. That's asking a lot after you tried to kill Laboon, don't you think? Nami points out. They look a bit guilty, and very nervous. Who are you guys? Usopp asks. And why did two animals try to blow you up? I throw in as a guess, enjoying being proven right as they pale. We can't say. Miss Wednesday cries. But we want to go back to the town. Mr. Nine adds. We don't want to be so secretive, but mystery is the motto of our company after all. I get up and get to their level. A company that blows up their workers is never a good one. Especially one that prides themselves on secrecy. Isn't that right, Miss Wednesday? I say her name in a mocking tone. She glares at me. You know nothing. I stare at her in surprise, as I hear the note of desperation as she says that. You're desperate to stay in the company, but are already disgraced. She doesn't look at me, but I see her fists clenched, pressed against the ground. I have to go back. I stare at her for a long time, cursing my still beating heart. Something about her resonated with me. Sky? Luffy asks. I vote we help them. I sigh as I get up to stand next to the table. Unusual for you. Luffy comments. I just shrug, staring. You guys don't want to help them, do you? Luffy asks the others. They shake their heads. No. Well, we are going. She. Luffy grins. Whiskey Peak, was it? The others sigh, knowing protesting is pointless. But you can only choose your route from here, the starting point. Crocus tells him. If we don't like it, we can always go around one more time, Luffy replies. I see. Crocus grins. Well, let's go. Now that I've made my PRMIs with the whale, eaten and gotten our starting point, we can start our journey. Luffy gets up and stretches. Who are you? Miss Wednesday asks. I'm the man who is going to be king of the pirates. Luffy replies with a grin. The two laugh quietly and I rush behind them. Make fun of him, and you won't make it to Whiskey Peak. Understand? I threaten them in a dark voice, quietly. They freeze. Yes, we understand. They whisper in sync. The others move off to the ship to prepare, including the two, but I hang back for a minute to ask Crocus something. He looks at me. You're not going with them? I will in a moment. There's something I need to ask you. I hesitate. Ask away. Luffy. He reminded you of something, or maybe someone. I saw the same look on another, when we were in Logia Town. Who is it? Crocus smiles. Probably someone we both met for a short time, yet impacted us in ways that changed us forever. Crocus nods. You've chosen quite the man to follow if he can make us think of him. I sigh. That tells me nothing. I already know that I've chosen to follow a unique man. Do you believe he will find the One Piece? He stares at me. I grin. I believe it, and I'll be there every step of the way, following him and making sure his recklessness doesn't kill him first. He'll find it though. SKYYYYYYYEEEE. I roll my eyes. Captain's calling. Thank you for the small amount of information you gave me. It's at least a piece to the puzzle. I jump down to the ship and we're soon moving off to the call of Laboon. To Whiskey Peak. What in the world is with this snow? Crocus mentioned odd weather patterns, but sudden snow? Nami mutters. She turns around from the window and glares at me. How are you not freezing? I look at my bare arms, as I had taken off my jacket and was wearing a tank top. Don't know. I like colder temperatures and for some reason this level of cold isn't affecting me. I grin. It's nice. Go outside. Nami points to the door. Fine. So grouchy. I get up and open the door walking outside. Close the door. I turn back and close the door. Turning around I look at Luffy's snowman. Nice job. He laughs. Not as nice as Usopp's though. He points to the other sculpture. I nod in appreciation. Not surprised. He's a really good artist. I look around at all the snow. Hey Luffy, this would be good training ammo. We can throw as much as we'd like and it wouldn't be too painful. Might sting a bit as you're hit more, but it shouldn't be too bad. He agrees. Alright, everyone out here, everyone, except Miss Wednesday and Mr. 9, came out. What is it Luffy? It's too cold to stay out here long. Nami shivers as she speaks. Luffy grins. It's training time. Zoro needs to work on dodging projectiles. The rest of you are close to unlocking Haki. Snowballs will be helpful and less painful. Everyone agrees and begins making tons of snowballs. With that done, Luffy and I blindfold everyone. I start throwing snowballs at Zoro. After a few fast throws he grumbles. You are enjoying this way too much. He fails to dodge another snowball aimed at his head. Yes, I am. The thing is, if you can't get past your annoyance at me, you won't be easily provoked in a real fight, thus keeping your much-needed concentration. I throw more snowballs. The thing is, in your fight with Mihawk, you let his low opinion of you cloud you. When you began to see that you were so far from his level, desperation clouded your actions. In other words, I need to fight with a clear mind. Zoro guesses. He almost dodges a snowball. Yes. Emotions are good, they drive you. If you let them control you though, you lose. Find the balance, the rhythm. Don't listen with your ears though, listen with your heart. You don't use your mind to fight, it relies solely on the senses. You use your heart. Sync your heartbeat, your senses, with the world around you. He stopped trying to dodge my throws and let them hit him. I watch as he takes deep breaths, focusing. Listening. After a few more hits, something shifts. He begins dodging, smoothly weaving between each snowball. I change it up, throwing at his legs, then his torso. I do random throws and he dodges each one. I laugh. There we go. You got it. I stop throwing snowballs and tell him to take off his blindfold. What change? He grins. Do you know that moment in a fight where everything falls away and it's just you, your heartbeat, and your opponent? I nod. I felt that, when I've been close to death, but I felt that just now, death nowhere in sight. He stares at me. Sky, what does it mean to be able to cut nothing? You already know. Now I do. How do I learn to do that regularly? I won't always have a moment to center myself. Actually, I don't even know if I can do that with a sword. That is entirely up to you. I have an advantage of seeing life's rhythm, because of my powers. You though, you can do it without them. I'm kind of jealous of your skills. I give him a soft smile. He looks embarrassed and walks off mumbling, swearing at me and then going over training plans. You rattled him. You're rarely nice to him. Luffy comments as he comes to stand next to me. I mean, even a compliment? I shrug. I mean it though. All of you amaze me. I have my smarts, but the rest of me is from an experiment. You guys though, it's all from training and natural gifts. There's more about you that isn't a result of an experiment than you think. Like I said, someday you'll see it. I hummed. Maybe, how did the others do? I changed the subject. Surprisingly, Usopp unlocked his Haki. Luffy grins. I look at him in shock. Really? No offense to Usopp, but I really thought Sanji would be next. She, so did I. Everyone heard your words to Zoro though, and I think it really struck Usopp combined with your advice from earlier. What was it, anyway? He's our sniper. It's really good he's unlocked his Haki. I told him that as a sniper, he may not be as strong as you monster trio, or be in the thick of a fight, but he's no less important. He sees what others cannot because he has a different view. He can take out an opponent you wouldn't sense coming. I also told him that with Haki, if visibility is limited, he'd be able to find any of us, or hit an invisible opponent. Ah, yes. Something about that and today clicked, and he's unlocked it. He's not quite good at dodging yet, but almost has it working consistently and he can find everyone each time. Good. Sanji's already learned Soru, which I'm not the least bit surprised with his leg strength, and he already had good speed. Nami is getting better with her new staff, that Usopp and I worked on. She can now make small weather phenomenons, plus with her increasing strength, a hit with that staff is going to hurt. She. Yep. I'm happy with everyone's progress. Luffy grins, looking around at the snow. By the way, everyone, even Zoro, went inside to warm up. I nod and look up as lightning flashes and wind begins blowing. Are we on course? Yep. Nami checked the log pose every few minutes or less and adjusted. It was very odd we were in the snow for so long. Nami bursts out of the cabin with the others, shouting orders to keep the ship on course as the weather changed to sunny. Luffy and I pitched in. We went through a few weather changes and damages to the ship before it was calm again. I repair the last of the bottom of the ship, mending it together and sit back exhausted. Usopp looks at me. Thanks, Sky. I know it must be hard to do that and keep the water out. I give him a thumbs up and I'll be there in a minute. He nods in understanding and leaves. I join the others on deck as soon as I feed a little and rest. I look around and see them all laying on the deck exhausted. I walk over to Nami. So how'd you like your first taste of navigating the Grand Line? She darkens and glares at me. Shut up. I swear I could see fire around her. She gets up. Well, I know how not to navigate here. It'll be fine though, because look, we finished our first journey. Whiskey Peak, she points ahead. I turn around and see a strangely shaped island. Looks like cacti. I comment and the others agree. Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine jump ship after an odd farewell. We look around and see a river. Looks like we can go inland by using the river, Nami comments. Sky. Luffy calls. On it, I put on my mask and as soon as we were a bit inland I jump off the ship and rush to where I could sense a lot of people. Walking around and using a mix of shadow and light, I go unseen among the residents listening to their conversations and looking at the preparations. Seeing some put on disguises, hide weapons and other things. Slipping to what seems to be the leader's office, I find nothing of note. What are you hiding? Those two needed to return for some reason. Centering myself, I use Haki to scan the island for the two. Sensing the two, I determine the general direction they're headed. Rushing to a point ahead of them, I see nothing and quickly run forward under a concealment, looking around the area. There. Seeing a log hut, I stop at it, sticking to the shadows. Seeing the strange mailbox, I conceal myself and walk to it. I smirk as I see the emblem on the box, and the word Baroque. Well, doesn't tell me anything about it, but at least I know the name of the company they work for now and a bit of what they do. I rush back to the ship just before they reach the false welcome. I drop the concealment as I knew the leader had done his research and knew I was part of the crew. Luffy looks at me, so, I nod. It's fine. It's a place that welcomes pirates. With air, I decide to tell Zoro, Nami, and Luffy the truth. I believe they can act well enough to fool everyone. Be on guard. This is a bounty hunting group under the company Baroque works. They lure pirates in with a party, get them to fall unconscious, and kill or capture them for bounties that might be offered. I see the three of them subtly nod just as we reach the cheers and welcomes. Luffy puts on his "I'm a total fool" act while dancing with Sanji and Usopp. Nami and Zoro act like their normal selves. Zoro, the aloof swordsman, and Nami the responsible navigator. I act like I'm wiped out and just need to sleep for a long time. They can party, but could you show me to a place I can sleep? Curls, I decided to call him, nods. As you wish, right this way. They show me to a room and I settle in sitting and leaning against the wall and after they leave I take out a book. Well now, just have to wait for the party to settle and see what happens next. An hour or two later, everything quiets. I close the book and lie down pretending to be asleep as they drag in Usopp and Sanji. After they leave, I get up and sneak outside. Sensing Zoro on a roof, I quickly join him. He glances at me. Have a nice nap? He asks quietly. Nope. Read a good book though. I smirk. Sanji and Usopp are out. Why didn't you tell them? Wasn't sure they could act well enough. I knew Luffy could because I watched him live like that for a year. Nami, because she is a thief. You, because. Well, I'm not exactly sure why. I look at him. I really mean that, it wasn't a jab at you. He looks at me surprised. Well, okay. He takes out his sword as Curls talks about capturing everyone. Could you not? We'd like to let them sleep. They had a tiring afternoon on our journey. They all look up at him then me and take a step back, gasping in surprise. You bastard. I thought you were completely asleep. Curls snarls. You as well, he points at me. Zoro smirks. Swordsmen never make the mistake of letting their guard down that much. Let's see. A nest of bounty hunters who dupe pirates high on entering the Grand Line. He scans the area. About 100 of you. I'll take you all on. Baroque works. They all reel back in shock again. How do you know our company's name? Curls yells. Zoro gestures to me as he stands up. She's our scout. Plus I was offered to join you years ago. I declined. Too much secrecy with code names and you don't even know who you're working for. Baroque Works is a criminal group that blindly carries out their orders. Zoro smirks again. Was it a secret? Curls tries to act intimidating. If you know our secrets, then we have no other choice but to kill you. Another gravestone will be added to Cactus Rocks. I stand up and stretch. You know it's kinda creepy how you live in the middle of a massive graveyard. I shrug. To each their own, I guess. Kill them, Curls yells. We jump down and hear their cries of shock as they no longer see us. Well, I'll leave them to you. Remember to take off your ring, I tell Zoro. You're letting me fight them all? Zoro looks at me in surprise. Yep. I can tell you want the practice, thanks. I nod and rush to a different place out of the way and settle in to watch Zoro fight. I turn my head and watch Luffy settle next to me. Just in time. Zoro's about to let loose. She. Nice. It'll be good for him to go all out. Maybe at the next stop, the others can do that too. Good training and experience. Yep. Now let the show begin. Zoro paused taking off the ring as Sky instructed. I stare at my swords. Time to test the new recruits out. I grasp the first sword, Yubashiri, and just breathe. As everything fell away and my heartbeat and breathing remained, I finally sensed it. A hum coming from my sword. Sky's words to me was starting to finally make sense. Your sword is your partner and every sword, even terribly made ones, have a piece of their creator, or creators, in them. How can it not when a sword is shaped by the person's desire? It all comes together to make a weapon with its own personality. Your task, as a swordsman, is to find that personality and learn to work with it. Like I said, swordplay is a dance. How you flow with your partner determines a good portion of your fight. Yubashiri gave me the impression of a breeze light and airy, gently flowing around you, fast and light. I moved my hand to the Kitetsu 3. Like in the shop I could sense its presence as it was so demanding, but now I could sense it further. It was bloodthirsty. A restless hunter always searching for its next prey. This is going to be a problem child, I smirked. Once we learn to work together though, we'll make a good team. Satisfied about what I had learned, I let the handle go and searched around with my hockey. Damn, I'm being surrounded. I got distracted. Found you. I looked up to see a random bounty hunter on the roof of the house I was leaning against, pointing a gun at me. Seeing as the others had boxed me and I had no choice but to bust through the door of the house as he fires. Inside I kick up a table as a shield and dive behind it as the others surround the house and fire at me. Alright. Now that I know a bit about my swords, time to actually test them out. First up, Yubashiri. I draw the sword and slice the table in half. Using their surprise I dash forward and quickly slash everyone around the door. Yes. Just as I sensed, fast and light like the wind. Also, thanks to Sky's rain, I have the speed to move with it. I run away from the place, making sure not to get boxed in again. I soon heard calls as I was spotted, but they remained at a distance. I decided to go on the roofs to see if I could get a better vantage point. Thankfully both my hockey and instincts kicked in and I leaned far back avoiding the cannonball aimed at me. That was way too close. I can see Sky scheming now. I feel a cold shiver down my spine. Yep, she's planning something. I see the heavily muscled woman throwing a barrel at me. I quickly right myself to slice the barrel apart. It split perfectly and hit the men on the roof, so I didn't have to do anything to them. What a waste. That was a good drink. I glare at the woman and she glares back. Okay, time to test Kitetsu 3 out. I hope I whirl around to slice apart a stone hammer and then the wielder of it. Aw, what was that? I knew you'd be troublesome, but this? I stare at the sword in my hand and it seemed to glint at me. That bloodlust is going to be hard to control. Is that why Sky meditates so much? Hearing a child's yell behind me, I instantly knew that ploy and knocked the kid and the lady out after they tried to blind me. I climb higher, knocking hunters off ladders as I go. Reaching the highest roof, I knock down the last ladder and use that as a jumping point to a lower roof nearby. Easily evaded any shots at me. Hawk wave. I knock down more hunters, and jump down to the next roof. Remembering the sharpness of Kitetsu the Third's blade, I slice the roof up enough so that the attacking hunters would fall down into the house. TCH. I can let loose, but these opponents are too easy. I duck down as I sense something swinging at me. Thanking Luffy and Sky, I quickly right myself and dodge the hand trying to grab me. I look at the woman. Oh, you again? At least you didn't waste an expensive drink this time. Don't test our patience. She tries to grab me. I dodge and slice her like the rest. I could tell she was still alive though. HMPH. Shall we continue? Baroque works. I walk to the edge and look at the main group still where they were when the chase started. They start talking of how I'm really the captain and it was a mistake on the poster. I sigh as they talk of being stronger than the rest. I sure hope so, fighting them was getting to be embarrassing. I hope this will be over with quickly, I could use a quiet night. Sky Pav. Hey, do you sense that? Newcomers have arrived to the island. I mutter to Luffy. He nods. They also seem to be just a bit stronger than those here. Why? I think for a minute. Elimination group, maybe, I shrug. Anyway, I'm going to meditate. I spent hours on guard for a group that wasn't even worth it. Watching Zoro fight was entertaining and it was good to see his improvement, but I'm getting to be on edge. I think it's because of the crazy weather. Being tuned into the elements has made me a bit jumpy. Luffy nods. That's fine. I'm going to watch a bit more. I settle in to meditate and was finally starting to relax when I sensed danger headed our direction. My eyes snap open and I grab Luffy, rushing to a different spot and turned to look at our previous perch. It had exploded. I growled. Who did that? I was just starting to relax. That would be one of the newcomers. Apparently with his snot and other parts of him, he can make explosions. Luffy tells me with a grin. I was interrupted by a snot bomb. My eyes twitches in annoyance. She. Yep. Where are they? I snarl out. Luffy points and I rush to the spot. Reaching there, I ignore Miss Wednesday and Zoro and glare at the two strangers. Which one of you? Wait, never mind. You both are annoying. I blast one, going to have to blast the other if they fight. I swirl water around my fists and send 2 jets of water at the pair, sending them into one of the cactus graveyards. I smirk in satisfaction and go to an undamaged wall and sit down, leaning against it. Barely enough to make my rage go away, but it's a start. I settle down to meditate. Sometime later, Luffy calls out, Sky, it's time to go. I open my eyes and stand. I stretch, loosening up all my muscles. I look around and spot Luffy. He motions me to follow and I do. We run to the ship. I was surprised to see Miss Wednesday on board. I point to her. She's on board, because... She tenses as I stare at her, but speaks up. I'm Princess Vivi of Alabasta, and your captain has offered to take me home. I look at Luffy, tilting my head in a silent question. The leader of Baroque Works is tearing her country apart. He's a warlord and I want to fight him. Luffy grins. I nod. Now that makes more sense why we are going. Well, I look at the princess. Welcome aboard. I nod to her and walk to the figurehead as we cast off going up the river. Luffy stands next to me and I look at him. Why are we in such a hurry and why do I see grief in the princess's eyes? Vivi's squad captain that's been protecting her tried to act as a decoy so he could leave safely. His ship was blown up. She doesn't believe me when I say he is alive. We are also on Crocodile's, the warlord, hit list. Apparently 8,000 people will be coming after us. Luffy looks around. The decoy didn't work, he says as we go into a fog. Indeed, someone is here. I rush in front of the lounge and point my pistol at the intruder, taking the safety off. Who are you? Why you are. Vivi cries in shock and fear. I tilt my head at Vivi. You know her? She's Miss All Sunday, Crocodile's partner? I look at Luffy, who is studying Miss All Sunday. He motions me back. I frown, but do it. I study the woman and recognize her. She may be a child in the poster, but her eyes and hair are pretty much the same. Luffy steps forward. How about ditching Crocodile and joining my crew? Luffy? Everyone except me cries in shock. She's Crocodile's partner, she's helping to destroy my country. Vivi yells in anger. Luffy shakes his head. That may be so, but Crocodile is just a means to an end, isn't it, Nico Robin? The woman freezes for a Moses herself. I ask you to not use that name, please. Luffy nods. As you wish. Please get off my ship if you aren't joining us. Don't be so hasty. I have no orders concerning you. I come with an offer to help. She holds up an eternal log pose. You're very unlucky in that your log pose is pointing to Little Garden. This points to a different island, just before Alabasta. I rushed forward and grabbed it, pocketing it. Thank you for that. I'll keep it. If we follow it though, that's not your concern. Luffy nods. Indeed. Now, get off my ship. Nico Robin looks between the two of us, then at the rest. I see. Well, if you survive, let's meet again. We'll do that. Luffy nods. I could see the curiosity in her eyes as she jumps off the ship. I walk over and look over the railing to see a giant turtle, with a seat for her to ride. That's pretty interesting. I look back at Luffy. So what will it be, Captain, Little Garden or nothing at all? Luffy studies me. You know something about Little Garden. I nod. Knowing you, I won't say anything, but this. It will very difficult to get off that island. I see. He looks around at everyone for a minute then sighs. Sorry everyone, but we are going to Little Garden. What? Nami screams. You heard what Miss All Sunday and Sky said, right? Yes, I did. I'll decide where this ship goes, though. Even if it's right into a trap, I won't choose any course but my own. Luffy stands with his arms crossed. Ah, well in any case, our course has been decided. To Little Garden it is, Zoro states. Nami sulks, and the situation is explained to Usopp and Sanji. Zoro and Luffy come to stand next to me. Anything you can tell us that won't give anything away about the island? Zoro asks. I take off my mask and grin at him. It'll be good training. We approached Little Garden the next day. As we floated inland on a river, everyone was surprised. What's little about this island? Everything is huge, Zoro comments. I chuckle. Indeed. Luffy was practically vibrating, keeping himself from dashing off into the thick jungle all around. So cool, our second island in the Grand Line. Vivi pat Karu's head. We have to be careful, she looks at me. Even you said this island will be difficult to get off from. I shrug. I did. If the worst comes though, we can always use the log pose Miss All Sunday gave us. I look at the jungle around us. This looks like a place I can let loose though. It's going to be great, I grin. We have to be careful, Nami scolds. I mean look at these plants. I've never seen them in any encyclopedias before. She points to the shore, a frown on her face. That's because this island is a PR. I'm stopped from speaking as Luffy puts his hand over my mouth. No telling, Luffy scolds me. He was about to say more when a giant tiger started stalking us from the shore. That thing is too huge. Usopp cries out. Before anything more could be said, the tiger falls over, coughing up blood and blood coming from wounds on its side. I look at both Nami and Usopp. They were both freaking out. We'll just stay here on the ship and wait for the log pose to set, Nami states, and Usopp agrees enthusiastically. I sigh and turn to Zoro. They do realize that Luffy isn't going to agree to sit around, right? He grins. They're too freaked out to remember that. He then looks back into the thick jungle with massive trees and vines. I can see now why you said this place will be good training. I nod, staring at the jungle as well. Yep. Good terrain. Unknown and strong creatures. Sanji said earlier that we are getting low on meat. So hunting will be a good exercise for you and possibly Sanji too if he decides to go out and explore. Zoro scowls. TCH. I can get all the meat we need without his help. I'll bring back something he couldn't possibly get. What was that moss head? Sanji suddenly pops up in front of us, glaring at Zoro. You think I couldn't possibly catch a bigger one than you, eh? Of course. Zoro growls out. They stared each other down. Then, it's a hunting match. Whoever brings the most kilos of meat, wins. Sanji states the terms. Don't you mean tons? Bring back some prey and then you can talk like that. Sanji points out. HMPH. I'll take you up on that. Zoro then heads to the bow of the ship to drop the anchor. I sigh. Men. I just wanted a simple training exercise and some supplies and they turn it into a competition. Go figure. I look around at everyone on the ship. Let's see. Nami and Usopp are still freaking out. Luffy is going to explore. Sanji and Zoro will each be going on their own to hunt. That leaves the princess. I look at Vivi and finally realize she's staring onto the jungle, barely paying attention to the rest. What about you, princess? Will you be staying on the ship or going to explore? I ask her and she jumps startled. Huh? She looks at me wide-eyed and then at the rest of the crew. I'd like to go and explore. Sitting here will make me think too much. I smirk, realizing an opportunity to get her and Luffy to bond. Great. You can go with Luffy and make sure he doesn't do something too crazy. Her eyes go wide. What? But I interrupt her. There is no one else. Nami and Usopp want to stay on the ship. Zoro and Sanji are going on a hunting competition so we can stock up the ship. I'm going to stay on the ship, because I realized that I actually don't feel like exploring. I've been feeling off for the past couple of days. Luffy looks at me in concern as Vivi scrambles for an excuse. I just smirk at him. Luffy nods in understanding and turns to Vivi. I'd like it if you came with me. It will be fun to explore and take your mind off of things. Vivi looks at him in surprise. After a minute she nods. I suppose we can do that. She offers him a small smile. Luffy grins. Alright, let's do this. Sanji make 2 pirate lunches, meat and no vegetables. And a drink for Kuru. Vivi adds. Coming right up. Sanji answers. He turns to Zoro, then we can start our competition. Zoro nods in agreement and a short while later, after Sanji had prepared everything, the 4, 5 including the duck, were off into the jungle. I look at Nami and Usopp. You sure you don't want to explore? It'll be good training and you two are getting stronger every day. They both gave me small smiles. Thanks for the encouragement, but I don't think we're ready for what's in there, Nami says softly. I shrug. I don't think anybody is ready for dinosaurs. They both freeze and stared at me wide-eyed. Are you serious? Usopp stammers out. I nod. Yeah. This island is an ancient prehistoric island. Dinosaurs may have gone extinct everywhere else, but this island has somehow never really developed. I pull out the book, Brag Men, out of my storage and toss it to Nami. These are stories of the Grand Line. It's considered fiction because of the unbelievable content, but there is some truth to them. Nami opens the book to where I had placed a bookmark. For the people who live here, this place is a little garden for them. Little Garden is an island for giants. She trails off from reading as she reads the last line. Giants? She whimpers out. I nod. Yep, probably one exactly like that. I point in the direction loud footsteps were coming from. Trees falling down like sticks. A giant appeared looking very much like a Viking. I look at Usopp and Nami as they stared up at the giant, wide-eyed and shaking in fear and crying like this was their last moments. Gabababa. Do you have any alcohol? The giant asks. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. He's sounding more and more like the stories of Vikings. Seeing that the two with me weren't in any shape to answer, I step forward. Hello. We do have some alcohol, but it's for cooking and medicinal purposes. I call up to the giant. He looks pretty disappointed. Ah, I see. Well, you didn't let me finish. He looks at me in surprise. I smirk as I realize whose drink I'm giving away. We can give you some though. It would be rude to turn away a visitor empty-handed. He grins. Is that so? He was about to say more when he gives a loud cry of pain. I wince, resisting the urge to cover my ears. Something the matter? Pesky dinosaur. He whirls around swinging his axe and soon a T-Rex head is flying in the air. He shows us the dinosaur head. I'm Bragi, Elbaf's strongest warrior. I now have some meat. Would you like to join me for a meal? Desperately ignoring the scent of blood, I tell him, for me, it'll have to be a no. I really need to train and this island will be perfect for that. After I give you the alcohol though, I'm sure Usopp and Nami would love to join you. What? They both yell at me and promptly faint. Bragi and I look at each other, then at the fainted duo. I sigh. I'll get the barrels. I give him the barrels and he leaves with the still fainted Nami and Usopp. I hesitate to leave the ship unguarded, but decide to leave anyway. Walking through the jungle, I let myself sense the energy around me. It was so wild and different from what I was used to. There was more chaos than order, but it was refreshing me and the slump I had been in started to fade away. Sometime later I was battling a feathered dinosaur in the trees using Geppo and fire attacks. It was excellent practice for control my fire so that I didn't burn the jungle to the ground. I jumped further into the air to avoid a swipe from the creature when I noticed two giants fighting in one direction and a large cloud of dust somewhere in another, like something extremely large had dropped. Deciding to check the dust cloud out, I send a large fireball at the creature and while it's distracted, let myself fall. Before I crash land, I use air to float myself onto the ground. Turning in the direction I saw the dust cloud, I use my hockey to search. Barely sense 4 people. I'm feeling pretty drained right now. I don't use fire often enough. I start running and sigh as I remember the scientist's words. My powers are like a muscle. Use them consistently and slowly increase the power and the strain lessened. Problem was that 8 years later since I had been turned, and I had barely developed them. Sure, I was trained, but I never trained further than the bare minimum. Power was precious and limiting how much I gave them gave me a small break and stopped them from having access to an even more dangerous weapon. That's all I was to them, a living weapon and experiment. Finally reaching the auras, I come to a odd, large, white square box with holes in it. I could sense the 4 inside. Carefully avoiding the window-like holes, so they wouldn't see me, I lightly jump onto the top of the box. Interesting. This is wax. I lightly scrape it. Not a scratch. It's far harder than any wax I've seen though. Carefully listening in, I hear the last part of their discussion. Putting snot bombs in the alcohol we gave the giants, creating a large internal wound. That's not a bad idea. Weaken the opponent from the inside and then finish the job. I frown. While it's a good idea, I can't let it happen. If Luffy finds out that our supplies, given as a gift, was used to kill someone, he'd be furious. Taking a sleeping gas bomb out of my satchel, I threw it inside one of the holes and hear it explode. I wait a minute and put on my mask. Jumping off the box onto the ground, I turn and look through the window. All 4 were knocked out. That actually worked. So it works on devil fruit users as well. Maybe not someone like Smoker though. Using air, I clear out the box of any remaining gas and then circle around the box to where the door is. Opening it and going inside, I examine all 4. Good, they all inhaled enough to be knocked out for a few hours. They didn't inhale too much though to cause any problems. I stare at the young girl and then look around the place. Seeing art supplies, I look at the girl's hands and see some traces of paint. So young and in a criminal organization. Wonder why? Deciding to shrug it off, I prop all 4 against each other and wrap them tightly in vines. I make sure each foot is tied to another person's foot and do the same with the hands. Lastly, I tightly bound them all together around their torsos. There. All tied up. Probably pointless based on the fact 3 of them have devil fruits, but it'll delay them. Any delay is good. I nod in satisfaction and decide to sit at the table in the middle of the place that had a fresh pot of tea. I sniff the pot and smell Earl Grey tea. A wave of memories hit me and I realize why I had been off for the past couple of days. Strange, I had thought I had locked those memories away. Memories began to flow. Of happy times. Of when I could be a kid. My parents cared for me to an extent, but it was mostly to the extent of how far I could go with my studies to be a scientist. Their caring ebbed and flowed with how well I did. With my uncle though, he just cared. Or more accurately, he loved me. He was more of a parent to me than my own parents and I loved him back. Still do, even though he's gone. And why are you crying, Sky? I startle as the question comes out of nowhere. I pull myself together and look around. Sanji? When did you arrive here? I quickly looked to where the 4 Taiza breathed a sigh of relief that they were still sleeping. Then his question finally sank in. Crying? I bring my gloved fingers to my eyes and dab. Pulling my hand back, I see the shiny droplets of tears on the black leather. I didn't even realize. Sanji looks at me in concern. What happened? I look away. Nothing really. The tea just triggered some memories. Bad ones. Bittersweet. I sigh. I see. Who are these 4? I look back at him to see him gesturing to the 4 tied up. Baroque Works agents. 2 were on Whiskey Peak. The one with the 3 hairdo and the girl with the wide-brimmed hat were probably called in after the other 2 failed. Sanj starts to say something when a transponder snail started ringing. He looks at me. Must be yours. I forgot mine on the ship. I shake my head. No, it's not coming from me, it's coming from. I look around, there. I point to a wiggling basket to the left of the table. I notice 3 heads starting to stir. You answer, I don't want to. Sanji nods and takes the snail out of the basket, setting the snail on the table and standing near me. Hey, you've reached the shitty restaurant. Do you want reservations? The man who answers is not amused. Quit fooling around, dumbass. You're late with your report. It's been days since I issued your orders. What's going on? I cross my arms and think. This guy issued the orders? Must be high up. Possibly the boss. I decided to take a gamble. I whisper to Sanji. Tell him, mission complete. All who knew your secrets have been eliminated, Mr. Zero. Sanji nods at me and does as I say. I smirked as the man didn't protest the code name. The man's voice contained satisfaction. Good. As we speak, the unluckies are headed your way to confirm the mission is complete and deliver a package. Sanji looks at me confused. Unluckies? Package? I shrug as I didn't know either. The man continues. An eternal pose that points to Alabasta Kingdom. You and Miss Goldenweek will head to Alabasta. I stop listening as I sense those 2 strange animal auras again. I had felt them on Whiskey Peak as well. Remembering Crocodile's words of the unluckies headed our way, I was able to connect the dots. A monitoring team and an elimination team if the report proves to be false. Right as the snail stops speaking, 2 animals appear in the window. Without waiting a moment, I pull out my pistol and shoot them. 2 clean headshots. I look at Sanji and he's staring at me. I motion to the snail, urging him to respond. Sanji confirms the orders and hangs up. Putting the snail away, he turns to me. Well, looks like otter and vulture are on the menu. He looks at my pistol. Why were those shots so quiet? I look at him in surprise. Is that why you were staring at me? He nods. Why, what did you think I was staring about? I shrug. Most are surprised how easy it is for me to kill. I stare at the ceiling. Anyway, I hold up my pistol and point to the end. I have a suppressor. It reduces the sound, and with my control of fire and air I can reduce the sound even further. I point to the gray and red crystals glowing on the sides of the suppressor. It was one of the things I had developed from the start. Part of being an assassin was stealth, and while I was fond of my knives, a pistol was sometimes needed. Gunshots give you away, even with a suppressor. Sanji looked impressed. Handy. We better search for that eternal pose and then find the others. He thinks we are dead, but as soon as those guys wake up and call in, we are in trouble. He frowns and walks to the animals. Indeed. I walk over to the sleeping 4. I kneel down, examine them each, making sure they were still sound asleep. I have no idea how much time had passed when I got lost in my memories. I nod in satisfaction as they were still out, and would be for a while. Sanji walks up to me and I look up at him. I stand up when I see the pose in his hand. He smiles at me. While we may have the other pose, this one will be better and we can head straight to Alabasta and not wait for however long it takes to fill the log pose on whatever that island is called. He leaves. I turn and look at the transponder snail basket. Walking over to it, I take it. No sense in leaving a chance for them to report back and tell Crocodile we are alive. Remembering the unluckies, I pick them up with air and walk out of the hideout. Seeing a beat-up saber-toothed tiger looking very dejected, I give him the animals. It grabs them and dashes off into the jungle, most likely wanting to get away from Sanji. I sigh. You know, I kind of feel bad for killing them. They were far more sentient I've encountered. I tell him as we walk into the jungle, me guiding us as we head back to the ship. Sanji shrugs. They were sentient enough to try and kill us and no doubt report back, so it's not so bad. True. I look at Sanji. We are short on time. Race you. I rush ahead. I faintly hear Sanji's protest. I reach the ship and quickly stop, Sanji a few seconds after. That was cheating. Sanji frowns and points at me. He grins, well played milady. I nodded at him. And you weren't far behind, you gotten really good. Sanji looks around. No one is back yet. I sigh and board the ship and head into the lounge. setting Mr. Three's transponder snail into there. I walk out to see Sanji scanning the jungle, worried. I walk up to him and place a hand on his shoulder. Easy, I'll go get them. I can sense Luffy's aura. The princess is with him. I'm sure Nami and Usopp aren't far away from them. And Moss Head? He can sense us. May take a bit as his range is still limited, but he'll find his way here as long as you stay. He nods and I head to Luffy. Reaching him, I quickly tell him, we need to go. Baroque Works agents are here. I foiled their plans to kill the giants and they are knocked out right now, but they'll soon wake. Luffy nods and thinks for a moment. I see. So he'll have to use the eternal pose from Miss All Sunday after all. Have you told the others? I shake my head no, Sanji knows though, he was there with me. A call from Mr. Zero came in, and we were able to impersonate Mr. Three, one of the agents that came here. He thinks Princess Vivi and the rest of us are dead. Luffy grins. Well that's good. And Baroque Works doesn't know about Usopp and Sanji. So that will be an even greater surprise for them. You. It depends on if Mr. Five or Miss Valentine reported about you. I blink. Oh, so those are the code names of Snot Bomb Guy and Umbrella Girl. Luffy laughs and I look at the princess. She was petting Karoo and looking at me nervously. I look back at Luffy and glare slightly. You told her I was a vampire, didn't you? He shrugs. Sorry. He grins. I sigh and look at the sky. Sure you are. I look back down and give a slight bow to the princess. Please be assured that while I am a vampire I have it under control. You are in no way in danger from me. Provided you don't try to kill me, or something along those lines. I have a promise to keep after all. She can barely smile at me. I see. It will take a while for me to adjust, but I'll keep your words in mind. I nod. I scan the area for Nami and Usopp and sense them nearby with Brogy. I sigh. I sure am sighing a lot. What's up with that? Are you alright, Sky? You look really tired. That's unusual for you, Luffy comments. I shrug without looking away from the direction the other two were in. I am tired. It's hot here and I practiced fire today. My least developed element. Take Vivi and head back to the ship. I'll get the other two and I think Zoro is almost back at the ship. We can get off this island and head to the island on the eternal pose. No matter how much it makes me mad to have to use it, he mutters the last part. Oh, we actually can go straight to Alabasta. The unluckies arrived and tried to kill us, so I eliminated them and they had an eternal pose to Alabasta. The princess perked up. Really? We can get to my home even faster than we thought we would? I nod. Seems like it. She laughs and starts talking to Karoo excited. She. Lucky for us. Alright, I'll get Nami and Usopp. He dashes off. I motion to the princess to get on her duck and after she says her goodbyes to the giant, we head back to the ship, me dashing ahead and stopping to direct the duck. We soon reach the ship to find Sanji and Zoro arguing. Some to water balls, I douse them. Idiots, we need to leave quickly, so cut the meat and let's get going. I study the two dinosaurs as they look at me like two pouting children. It's a tie. Have another contest again soon and you can settle it then. They open their mouths to protest. I glare at them. I will put you through hell training. It'll be about 10 times as much as you have been doing now. That's a promise if you don't get to work right now. They both scurry to prepare all the meat and I head into the ship to the women's cabin. I didn't need the smell of blood right now on top of my mixed emotions. I'll have to apologize to Sanji and Zoro later. I didn't mean to explode at them. As I sink into meditation trying to put myself back into balance, the memories of a kind and loving smile floated through my mind. That smile was soon tinged with red and an echoing plea. You asked me to live even as you died. Am I finally fulfilling my promise, uncle? I sigh as I stir the pot of soup I am making for Luffy. With our childish, yet skilled, captain sick, the ship was so much quieter. Never thought I would miss Luffy's constant requests for food or Sky's intense training. Sky. I frown as I think of our vampire scout. Ever since we had safely left Little Garden with the giant's help, Sky has been different. No, it was actually sometime after Luffy had collapsed. I think back over the past couple of days. Sky had stayed inside the ship even as the giants had helped us by defeating the Island Eater, but had rushed out when Luffy had collapsed with a high fever a little while later. Though snappier than usual, she had been pretty normal, giving us orders and directing us on how to help. After Sky had found the source of Luffy's fever and we had done all that we could, everyone had settled for the night, with her watching over Luffy. I nod to myself as I realized that was when she changed. When I had walked into the women's cabin, where we had settled Luffy, she had been colder and distant. She softened for a moment when she had looked at Luffy, but then shifted back. After giving me a few instructions, she had left, and as far as I know, she hasn't returned to that room. Earlier today we had run into a pirate ship that could go underwater. Sky didn't bother waiting for an introduction. She rushed onto the other ship and blasted a man off the ship with a geyser of water. I can only presume that he was the captain, as the other pirates quickly left us alone to go after him. I wonder if he survived. With the distance the guy was sent flying, Sky hit him with a lot of power, I mutter as I check my soup. He's most likely alive. Until I see a body, I always presume they're still alive. I jump at Sky's unexpected comment, nearly knocking over the pot. I quickly recover and turn around to face her, clearing my throat as her statement sinks in. That's an interesting policy. She shrugs, face blank, mask over her mouth, and her hat pulled low, shadowing her eyes. Better that way. You're not surprised when they appear once more. I nod in agreement. Makes sense. So, why are you here? She has been keeping herself pretty much separate from everyone, so it was surprising to see her in the lounge. She tilted her head, studying me. After a long few minutes she finally speaks. Stop watching me. I can feel it every time you do, and it's annoying. Even though she said it was annoying, her voice remained even and precise. Not a hint of emotion in her words or eyes. It's now my turn to study her. She meets my gaze without any reaction. This is why I've been watching you. Just a couple of days ago, you would have given me a scowl or smirk. Now you're just blank. You're also constantly wearing that mask. She doesn't say anything. After a few seconds she turns around and heads to the door. She puts her hand on the doorknob, but doesn't open the door. I need the mask. I've been working more with my elements and it's draining me. The snow has been making your heartbeats faster and it's made me restless. Before she could open the door and leave, I ask her, is that why you've been so cold to us, Sky? For the first time in a while I see a reaction. She flinched at her name. She's silent for a long minute that felt like hours. Nope, with that one word she opens the door and leaves. I feel a pang in my heart at her answer. What is it then? What changed in just a matter of hours? I turn back around to the stove and stir the soup. I hope we reach the next island soon and get Luffy healed. I think he's the only one who can get an answer out of Sky and get her back to normal. Luffy paw heat in pain. That's all I can feel right now. I never thought a day would come where I didn't want to eat or fight. Yet, here is that day. Or couple of days. I do my best not to curl up in a ball and slowly sit up as Vivi walks into the room with a bowl of broth. Try my best to smile at her, but I think I fail as she just looks at me, worried. I look at the bowl she sets down. There isn't a lot of broth, but it still seems like so much. Vivi slowly feeds me spoonfuls, but I can only finish barely half the bowl. Vivi sits back in her chair. Well, that was more than earlier. I start to lean back and she quickly fixes the pillows, so that I'm propped up. How is everyone? More specifically, how's Sky? Vivi thinks for a minute. Everyone is worried about you, of course, but seems to be carrying on like normal. She looks at me, confused. I couldn't help noticing that everyone is looking at Sky with worry. She seems normal to me. I frown as the change I had sensed, even with my fever, was starting to be confirmed. She's separated herself from the others, hasn't she? Vivi looks at me in surprise. Yes, how did you know? I give a tired wave of my hand, not wanting to explain. Too long to explain. I want to ask her more, but my eyes keep closing and I just feel like sleeping. I'll come back later. You need to rest. We're almost to the island. It was barely spotted when I came down here. Vivi tells me as she stands from her chair. I nod in agreement, my eyes closing. As I fall asleep though, I can only think of Sky. I need to get better soon, then I can learn why you are trying to close the heart that I worked so hard to open. I wake up as I feel a sense of urgency. Have to get on deck. I get out of the bed and collapse on the floor. Shaking as I stand up, I lean on the bed. Looking around, I see one of my shirts on a table. I slowly stumble to the table, the sense of urgency getting stronger. I grab the shirt and quickly put it on. Seeing my boots near the ladder, I go to them and shove my feet in them. Weakly grasping the sides of the ladder, I climb up. Reaching the storage room, I lay on the floor. Have to get outside. Can't let whatever happen. I force myself to get up and head to the door. Leaning heavily against it, I turn the doorknob. It swings open and I fall onto the deck. Not my best idea. My hockey kicks in and I can sense it. A bullet heading straight towards me. I close my eyes, waiting, knowing I have no strength to move. I used it all to get up here. After a minute or so, when nothing happens, I open my eyes to see Sky kneeling down next to me and glaring at me. Idiot. Care to explain why you are here, when you should be in bed? She puts a hand on my chest and I feel a warmth surrounding me. It was different than the heat from my fever, more comforting. I look at Sky's eyes. Even though she wouldn't look at me and they're mostly shadowed by her hat, I could see there a storm of emotion. The most notable ones I could see and sense are rage and guilt. I reach up and gently push the brim of her hat up, so that her eyes could be seen clearly. The urgency is gone and I know it was somehow connected to Sky. You were about to do something that I know you'd regret later. Her eyes close and she takes a deep breath before she whispers. Something was said, that brought me back to 8 years ago. He should just die. Pirates, and anyone associated with them, should all be gone. Replace pirates with vampires and you almost have exactly the words of the one who killed my uncle. Didn't help that you remind me of my uncle. I place my hand over her hand that was still on my chest. I didn't say anything, just gave it a squeeze as best as I could. Her eyes opened and met mine, and I gave her a smile, wanting her to know I am still here. A shaky sigh and then she pulls her hand from mine. She waves her hand in a, "Come here," motion and Zoro is soon by my side, helping me sit up. He gives me his jacket as I was starting to shiver without Sky supplying her fire. I lean against Zoro and fall asleep. I wake up to Sky tying me to Sanji's back. "What are we doing?" Sanji answers and I could hear frustration. "We're climbing a mountain, while you have a fever, and it's snowing." I let out a weak laugh. She. Sounds fun. Sky speaks as she finishes tying the knots. "We're in luck. The doctor we're going to is over 100 years old. Like the best, considering where you got that tick bite." She carefully slides her mask onto my face. After she secures it, I hear a click and everything goes darker like wearing sunglasses. "There. That will protect your face from the increased wind when we use Soru." "That's great." I mumble as sleep overtakes me again. Sky Pav, I frown as I feel the heat coming from Luffy. His fever is starting to rise. We need to hurry. Getting to the mountain will be easy. Climbing it, not so much. "It'd be easier if I had learned Geppo by now," Sanji comments. I shrug. "Perhaps. We both know Soru though. That's enough for now." I double-check everything and then turn to the others, except Zoro. He was watching the ship. Deciding not to say anything, I turned to the door. As we left, my eyes met Dalton's. While I was still wary of him, after the welcome we received, I could tell he was a good leader. He is still on edge around me, though. Probably because his devil fruit enabled him to sense the hunter in me. While he wasn't weak enough to be prey normally, a vampire exceeds many predators. I nod to him, and we leave his home. Sanji and I quickly walk to the edge of the village. Reaching it, Sanji nods to me and speeds off with me quickly following. I vaguely sense the animals Dalton warned us about, but we quickly pass them. We reach the base of the hill and stare up. "Can't even see the top," Sanji comments. I swear, as I realize my original plan wasn't going to work. It was a sheer cliff. I had been hoping there would be a small incline. I had hoped I could use air to get us up in one go. Would have been draining, but doable. Now though, with the strength of that wind and its direction, looks like we are going to climb. "You got equipment for that?" Sanji asks, unconvinced. I pull out a gauntlet from my shadow storage. There's a reason I've been using my elements more. I had hoped to make a gauntlet like I used to use that had a grappling hook. Air and Geppo make it useless, but it's good for when I'm tired or want to hide my skills. I am sensing but Sanji comments. Right now, it's a work in progress. The cord is shorter than I'd like and it won't hold 3 people. Plus, I have to reattach a new hook each time and fire it pushing the button with my other hand. I grab Sanji's arm and put the gauntlet on. He opens his mouth, asks say something, but I cut him off. Shut up. I need to concentrate to get this to fit you properly. Wouldn't do to have it snap or slip off while climbing. I soon finish making the adjustments and step back. What about you? Sanji asks. Taking 3 people up using air? No way. Myself. Easy. I instruct him on how to use the gauntlet and step back as he fires it up the mountain where I told him to. Jump and tug to pull yourself up. He does as I say and I quickly follow. Jumping in place to keep Geppo going. I couldn't resist smirking at him. Not bad. You didn't slam into the mountain. Shut up. Now how do I refire this thing without falling off the mountain? Sanji grits out through clenched teeth. I carefully form a platform under his feet from the mountain, then tell him to press the release button. He does as I say, and land on the platform next to him and motion to his arm. He holds it up and I attach a new hook. So tedious. Better than what I first made though, I mutter as I work. We do this again a few more times, till we reach near the top. Once there, I carry us the rest of the way using air as the distance is short and the wind is weaker. Well, we made it. Sanji starts walking to the castle Dalton told us about. I follow him. Yeah, except no one is here. Sanji whirled around and looks at me in alarm. What, are you sure? I give him a blank look that screamed, what do you think, and walk past him. He coughs embarrassed. Right. Sorry. Figures, we choose the time she's not here to arrive. We enter the castle. Stay here. No use wandering around. I'll find the main area the doctor works. I tell Sanji. He nods in agreement and I rush around the place. Opening and closing doors. I caught a whiff of ashes, and rushed in that direction, ignoring other doors. Reaching the source, I find a room with bookshelves and beds and a fireplace with banked ashes. Glancing in other rooms nearby confirmed that I'd found the right area. After getting Sanji, I started browsing the shelves of books, looking for one that might hold a cure. Sanji settles Luffy on the bed, removing the mask, his coat, shirt and boots. Shouldn't we wait for the doctor to return? Asks Sanji. I shrug. Maybe. I can at least try to find out what it is before she comes back, though. That way she doesn't have to diagnose him as well as treat him. Sanji walks up next to me and starts scanning the titles, handing me my mask. You softened. You're actually talking to me. I freeze, then sigh. I guess so. I think back on the past few days. After seeing Luffy ill and that I couldn't treat him, I realized how much I cared for him. The boy who has an impossible dream, and can still pull people into his crew that had their own dreams. The one who welcomed me with a grin, despite everything I have done in my diet. The one who reminded me so much of my uncle, in that he cares for me no matter what. Seeing those similarities, it being the anniversary of my uncle's death, and realizing the level of care I have for him brought me straight back to reality and out of the dream I had been living. I lose everything I care for. My parents. My siblings. My best friend. My uncle who was more like a dad. The little girl who gave me a name when I no longer had one. I want to believe this world would be different, but I really doubt that it will be. I turn and look at Luffy, who is sleeping fitfully, his fever starting to rise. One way or another, I'm going to lose him. I turn my head and look at Sanji. All of you. Feeling my heart clench painfully, I bring my hand up and rub my chest over my heart, even though I know it won't help. With a scoff at myself, I look back at the book I had been scanning and realize I had turned to the correct page. Kestia. I read. What? Sanji asks. Kestia. I found the ancient tick. Apparently, it'll burrow under the skin and go dormant, releasing bacteria in the host. I scanned the list of symptoms. Summed up, the person is in pain and has a rising fever for 5 days, then dies. Wonderful. So, if we hadn't stopped, Luffy could have died? I shrug as I read more. Maybe, since I removed the source, he only had to fight a small amount of bacteria. He may have fought it off eventually. Who knows how long that would have taken, though. Sanji hums in agreement. Does it list a cure? Yes. Some things I have never heard of, but I can gather the ingredients from the doctor's supplies, if they don't already have a prepared antidote. Which I doubt they do. Alright, what do? I pull out a packet of preserved meat from my storage. Prepare some soup with this. Luffy adores meat, but I've noticed that it helps him heal faster. Mostly broth, but keep some of the meat in. He takes the packet. Okay, and how about vegetables? Whatever the doctor has around. No rotting stuff. I glare at him. He shrugs and gives me an unrepentant smile while agreeing. He goes to make the food and I call out, "Thank you, Sanji. I really appreciate it." He starts doing his noodle dance of happiness. "You're welcome, milady." I smile for a moment. It fades away when I look at Luffy. How much longer? How long till I lose you all, till I lose you? Taking a shaky breath, I push those thoughts away and head to the doctor's storage space. Seeing all the jars of herbs and medical stuff, I quickly go through them and grab the ingredients for the antidote. I am done pretty quickly, so after stopping in the kitchen to get my gauntlet from Sanji, with a lot of protest from him, I settle against a wall near Luffy's the gauntlet on. I first readjust it to fit my arm. I had finally learned how to forge. While it isn't perfect, some things still break. I am getting there. Closing my gauntlet and imagine certain spots shrinking or expanding, depending on the areas I want to change. Much like my ice crystals. The things I make with my elements are extensions of me. While this gauntlet wouldn't be a constant connection like the crystals or my shadow storage, it was still basically a part of me. When I am satisfied with the fit, I begin focusing on the cord, extending it. Made with an alloy that is light, but strong, it was thin so that I could have a longer length and not have to enlarge the compartment that held the cord spool. My attention turns from the cord to Luffy as he begins mumbling. Realizing he was just dreaming, I go back to my work. After a while I am satisfied with the length and attach the hook to the end. After making sure it's ready to fire, I stand up. Seems like a good time to test this out and make adjustments. I walk to Luffy's bed to check on him. He is still dreaming, his face twisted in pain. "Ace. Sabo. Where are you? Sky, come back. Where are you?" I freeze as he mentions my name. "Why? Why did you mention me? Just moments after your brothers, too." Before I could do anything more than think that, I sense a presence rushing to where we are. It was a curious mixture of animal and human. Dear. No, that isn't quite right. Interesting, a perfect mixture of human and animal aura. Far more melded than even Dalton with his devil fruit. A mutant? I shift into a defensive position, ready to attack if needed. A large humanoid animal bursts through the doorway. He stares at me and I stare back. I scan him with my eyes, from his antlers poking through a pink hat with a white X, to his blue nose, to his red shorts, and finally to his feet that are shaped like cloven hooves. "What in the world are you?" I couldn't help asking. He jumps. I should be asking the questions. "You aren't supposed to be here." His voice was higher pitched than I thought it would be. Even though he was huge, all I could hear and sense is that this was a child. I relax from my stance and tilt my head, staring at him. "Perhaps, but we need a doctor and she lives here." I wave my hand, indicating the room we are in, then point to Luffy. His fever is rising. He gives me a wary look, but inches out of the room and calls out, "Doctorine, you have a patient." He looks back at me. "Do you know what caused his fever?" I nod. "A bite from a tick. I looked through your books and found out it was a Kestia." His eyes widened. "We need to get the tick out, if it." I hold up a hand, making him stop talking. I already removed it, but the bacteria is still in his system. We were able to get the fever to stay at a steady level, but it's risen since we had to climb a mountain in the freezing wind and snow. "Good to know," an older woman says as she walks in. She walks to Luffy and places a finger on his forehead. After mumbling his temperature, she turns to the creature. "Chopper, go prepare the antidote." Chopper nods and heads to the supply room. I call out to him. I already gathered the ingredients. They are on a table in there. He looks at me in surprise. "I see, I'll be able to prepare it faster." I shrug. That was the idea. He leaves and I turn my head and stare at the doctor. Based on her clothes, you would never guess she was a doctor. Even without stereotyping, she didn't indicate doctor. "What? Are you wondering what the secret is to how I stay so young?" She grins at me before walking over to a nearby table and grabbing a bottle of some sort of drink. She takes a gulp then looks at me. "I'm not telling." I shrug. "Fine with me. I don't care. I am wondering about Chopper, though." "Ah yes, he's just a blue-nosed reindeer." I look at her, skeptical. A blue-nosed reindeer who is the perfect blend of human and animal. She sighs. "He ate the human fruit. He's a reindeer who gained the human's abilities." I taught him everything I know about medicine. I could detect a hint of pride in her eyes for Chopper. We need a doctor on our ship, I tell her. I'm not interested in the sea. A ship. Are you pirates? I hear Chopper whisper the word pirates in a longing tone. I look at the doorway even though I couldn't see him. I wasn't thinking of you when I was thinking of a doctor. And yes, we are pirates. I point at Luffy. This one wants to be king of them all. King of the pirates, eh? A foolish dream, and you want to take Chopper with you. She takes another gulp from her drink. If he's as skilled as you say, then he'd be a good addition to the crew, if he's willing to come. Doctorine stares at me. If you can get him to agree. I stare back then shrug. Is that so? Well, Luffy can be pretty convincing. Sanji walks in with a pot of soup at the same time Chopper walks in holding a jar of something. I couldn't help staring at him. Stop staring at me, human, Chopper yells at me. I can't help it. You shrunk and well, you are adorable, I tell him. Chopper does Sanji's noodle dance, smiling and blushing. Shut up, that doesn't make me happy at all. I chuckle. If you say so. I look at Sanji. If you need me, I'll be outside. Need to test the gauntlet. Sanji nods and I walk out of the room and eventually the castle. For the next hour or so, I do tests. Adjusting it so the line fires correctly and with proper power to embed into a surface. After writing down some notes in a booklet I keep in my satchel, I re-enter the castle. I enter the room I had left everyone and see Luffy sleeping. After studying him for a minute or so, I could see that his fever has broken and is going down. I let out a sigh of relief. I knew that would be the case, but there was still a part of me that was doubtful. I look around the room and see that no one else is here. Using Haki I scan the castle and sense Sanji wandering around the castle. Chopper not far behind. Doctorine is in a room nearby. Not feeling like going to any of them, I walk to the bookshelves and scan the titles. Taking one that was about blood, I sit in a windowsill near Luffy's bed, leaning against the cold glass. I barely start reading when I look up to see Chopper walk into the room with a frown on his face. He looks around the room, and then stares at me. Are you human? I smirk. I think you know the answer to that. At my answer, he hides himself behind a doorway or at least tries to. You're doing it wrong. He slowly moves so that he's hiding correctly. How are you up and about? Your heartbeat is so slow you should be dizzy or fainting. I should also be dead, considering I have had this for years. I tell him. I close my book and contemplate taking it with me when we leave. I think I will. I need to restart my research. I turn and mimic putting the book on the windowsill, but actually put it into my storage. I turn back to Chopper. Why the sudden question? Your captain offered me a chance to join your crew and be his friend and a pirate. He said other things as well. I refused, because I'm a monster. Then he said, cool, Sky is one too. What does he mean? I walk to him. When I am close I kneel down, one knee on the floor. For a long moment I look into his eyes, then close mine. Taking a breath, I focus on my thirst, letting the ever-present need that I push back come to the forefront. I open my eyes and look at Chopper. Of the two of us, there is only one monster and it isn't you. Your eyes are now gold, he stares at me, and I can sense his fear. And you now have fangs. AA. Vampire. You're a vampire. The slow heartbeat, pale skin, and fangs. Don't drink my blood. I reach out and tap the brim of his hat. Don't worry. It's my policy to never drink directly from someone or from kids. I stand up, taking deep breaths, trying to calm down the thirst. How annoying. I will have to replenish sooner than I thought. If he can accept you, can I really go with you and become a pirate? I open my eyes and smile at the hopeful look in his eyes. Luffy is an idiot who runs headfirst into danger, but he cares for his crew. We could use a doctor like you. Better than healing every injury the foolish men on our ship get. Oi. Mosshead and Luffy are the only foolish men on our ship. I am not like them. I turn around to see Sanji standing in the other doorway in the room. I shrug. Maybe, maybe not. We haven't gotten into a situation where you really had to fight yet. We'll see then. Sanji opens his mouth to protest or something, but I hold up a hand, silencing him. There is a vaguely familiar and annoying presence heading our way, up the mountain with two others. I tell him and Chopper. The two run outside, and I follow. We all gather at the edge of the cliff to see a rope connected to the mountain and a carriage on the rope slowly approaching. I focus on the auras of the passenger and realize, hey, that's the guy who had the underwater ship and the one I blasted. He's got two annoying subordinates with him. Why are they annoying? Asks Sanji. I shrug. Don't know, it's just a feeling I have. I jump and using Geppo, I see where the line is connected to the mountain. You know, I could save us the trouble and just cut the line. I tell the pair as I land next to them. No, I don't know why, but let them come. I look at Chopper in surprise, then nod. If that is what you want, it's your home. I walk closer to the castle. If you need me, call for me. I'll be leaning there against the wall meditating. I had been so busy developing the gauntlet and avoiding everyone, I hadn't meditated for a while. As I let the world fall away, all I hope is that I'll finally have some answers to the questions swirling around in my head and heart.